Hello.
What's up, my friends in film fandom, wherever you may be and however you may be watching? Thank you so much for giving us just a little bit of your time. And boy, is there a full panel of people here to talk about Scream 6, a very fun movie, one that I very much enjoyed, mostly, for the most part. Again, full disclosure, not my favorite franchise, but this movie was actually pretty damn good. Definitely one of the better films of the franchise. And a whole lot of people here to talk about this movie with me today. Starting with the Dowager Countess, Lady Cora. How are you tonight, ma'am?
I'm great. It's great to see you all. I'm in a different time zone, and I almost forgot about that. I'm all confused. I don't know what time it is, but I'm happy to be here.
It's movie time. It's a movie talk time. It's all that matters. Then, of course, the first half of our own personal power couple is Tin Septim. What's happening? Joining us to talk more horror. A lot of great stuff to talk about this week. Glad you're here with us. What's going on?
Oh, not much. Just struggling to make sure that everything worked in the 5 seconds I had before I got in here.
That's all right. We see you. We hear you. You're here for the conversation. That's all that matters.
All right.
And then, of course, my hetero life mate, Jeremy. What's up, my brother?
Not much. I know Tex, he's sitting here, look at him. He's sitting here working back and forth. He wants to make a Core 4 joke. And she's the one who's late. Kind of like one particular character who was just kind of lurking around, who just happened to be, yeah.
Well, obviously, she's the killer. I mean, it's always the last person that walks in the room, so obviously she's the killer.
But don't forget, everyone's a suspect.
Everyone's a suspect. And then, of course, our good friend, the shape from the Lone Star State, the cowboy himself, our man Tex. What's up, brother?
Core 4, everybody. Come on, give me one, guys. Core 4, let's go. Come on. Come on. You guys suck. Jeremy, I know you may not be the only killer, but you're one of them. Rachel, I'm watching you too. This whole power couple thing.
Oh, come on. Was the shirt too much?
Tex, one who points fingers is usually the guilty one.
Hey, I'm totally not the killer. I would not have a knife. I'm totally not the killer, okay? It is not me whatsoever. So I don't know what you're talking about. That's fake news. But now, what's up, everybody? Hope y'all are doing well.
Yeah, here to talk, obviously, about Scream 6. Again, not one of my favorite horror franchises. I thought the first film wasn't terrible. Not my favorite. From then on out, just a downhill slide. Scream 5, honestly, was not a bad movie. A lot closer to the first one, in my opinion. This one, I think, a lot more entertaining. A few things I didn't really like that don't sit well. Some of them are just kind of... Some of them are a little bit nitpicky. Some of them I think are significant, but we're going to go into that. But let's break down exactly what this movie is. Scream 6, the 2023 American slasher film directed by Matt Bettinelli-Olpin and Tyler Garrett. It is the sequel to Scream, or Scream 5, which came out last year, the sixth installment in the Scream film series. It stars Melissa Brea, Jenna Ortega, Mason Gooding, Jasmine Savoy Brown, Hayden Panettiere, and Courtney Cox, all reprising their roles from previous installments, alongside a couple of newcomers. Like Jack Champion, Lena Liberato, and Dermot Mulroney, one of my favorite actors, and Tony Revolori, of course, with Josh Segarra and Samara Weaving, who was the famous first kill. Now let's start there. I mean, because one of the things that Scream has always been very entertaining about is the first kill. I know this is one really on my list, my rundown. It just occurred to me that you can't really talk about this series without mentioning it. This opening scene, the first kill, I thought it was really entertaining. Not to mention they threw in a little bit of a twist about halfway through. They changed the script a little bit. It wasn't the typical Scream opening. They gave it a different dimension, which I thought got the movie off to a really hot start. Tex, I'll go to you first. It looks like it's going one way, and then all of a sudden the mask comes off, and I'm like, I know they don't reveal a killer in the first 5 minutes of the movie. I mean, sure, you want to turn something upside down and keep people wondering. I get it, but the way that whole opening scene played out, I thought was a lot of fun and kind of made me feel like this wasn't going to be the same old Scream movie. What did you think?
I said this is the best opening to a Scream film since Scream 2, and it's the one where Will Smith's wife gets it in the theater and dies in front of everybody on the screen, But
spoiler alert: Chris Rock was the killer in that movie.
Right?
Yeah, Chris. I mean, if you're a big horror fan, you know who Samara Weaving is. She's kind of understated at this point. Like, she's not big, huge mainstream level. She's not Jamie Lee Curtis or Nif Campbell. She's not that big of a name yet, but in the horror world, she's huge. And oh my God, she looks amazing. Her in that yellow dress. I mean, I was melting looking at her on this movie. But the opening, I knew when they cast her that she was going to get the Drew Barrymore role. I didn't want her to because I wanted her to be main cast, but I'm glad that she was, because now she can be that infamous opening kill. But we see her as a film studies professor who's teaching slasher films. She's supposed to know all these things. She knows all the tropes. So even though I hate that word, it drives me crazy. But, she's got her Tinder date or whatever on the phone. Oh, just keep going back further into that dark alley. Just keep going. Just keep going. Oh, you don't see me waving at you? And then, you hear that shink, that voice changer come on. It sounds like the knife's pulling out. And we see Ghostface for the first time. And what a brutal kill this was. I mean, this looked like he was Ghostface has never stabbed like this until this movie. I love the way Ghostface operated at this. It was just so cool. I was such a huge fan of this. And then we see, for the first time ever, Ghostface unmasks himself in public. Like, cameras aren't everywhere in New York City, I could only imagine. But, for, sustaining disbelief here.
I could have.
I hate cliffhangers.
Samara Weaving. I could have sworn I had a
Sorry.
Samara Weaving.
Sorry.
I guess I didn't download one like I thought.
Sorry, I got interrupted. No, it's one of those days. But no, like I said, we see Samara Weaving get it, in the alley right there. and we see Ghostface to be revealed, and we've never got this before. I love this opening. I thought it was so cool. What y'all think?
Yeah, Jeremy, how about you? I mean, it was a different start, but it kind of had me guessing right from the jump. What do you think?
Wasn't that Flash Thompson?
It was actually. It was.
Yes, it is. Yes.
I was
Yes.
like, we're in New York City. This is Flash Thompson. Everyone forgot who Spider-Man was. Wait a minute. What are you doing, buddy? Remember, it is they are going off to college, which he seems to be a college student, a film student in college, rather. So I'm like, is this maybe a sequel to No Way Home? Because I just couldn't. I'm sorry, I just couldn't get that out of my mind. Yeah, he is supposed to be. I mean, Flash Thompson is supposed to be a bad guy eventually. So I'm like, oh, this would be a really hilarious meta thing if like that went that direction. But
I do quickly want to point out though, real quick. They did have his name is Jason Killing in Manhattan in a Scream movie, and he watches Friday the 13th on TV. And just wanted to point that out too, but just the little Easter eggs here.
Yeah, because I was gonna say when jumping to the little dingy, and I would honestly have said very spacious New York apartment. I mean, let's be honest here.
So you're saying he's like a horror icon or something?
No,
no.
It was just funny. But yeah, jumping to that, then like his name's Jason, and we're definitely not doing Ghostface Takes Manhattan. And then
Plus
it's like,
the whole head in the fridge, like mommy. Come on.
Yeah, you kind of get like a little Patrick Bateman thing there, and you get a twofer. It's like, oh wait, no, we're doing more than that. And then apparently some other, because we kind of knew going into this, there's more than one killer. There always is, but there's more than one. And to have one who apparently he thinks he knows who it is, and to have him turn on him too, it's like, oh, okay, so we really, really don't know who, It's like you know what to expect because you know the Drew Barrymore thing's going to happen, but then it's like, nope, gotcha again. So I'm really left there wondering, the hell was that? Pretty cool.
But I don't know. I'll go to you next, Tim Septum. I mean, it was a pretty crazy opening, start to finish. And it kind of drug on too. There was a whole lot to put in there. What do you think of the way it all played out?
I mean, it was believable in a sense. I mean, you're waiting on your Tinder date. You're waiting on, they're lost. They're, as someone who's been on Tinder and gone on Tinder dates, it's very awkward. And I think that was portrayed really well. And then the fear of your date being a killer just all came to fruition, I mean, I thought it was just kind of.
I did go down that dark alley to get to that bar to meet that one girl, so that did feel a little weird.
If Samara Weaving said cross through every dark alley in New York City and you can meet me, I would do it every day of the week. I'll just say that right now. Just out there,
Hey, she looks enough like Margot Robbie. I would have done it because I was like,
sometimes the juice is worth the squeeze, and Samara Weaving could ask me to burn down New York City, and I'd probably do it. But it is what it is.
I thought it was. I thought it was a really interesting because at first I was like, okay, Scream does these scenes well. These opening scenes, the first kill. So I'm watching it all play out. And, again, a very brutal, visceral kill, something that we were told to expect in this movie to begin with because, we had been hearing that these were different kills. They weren't going to be kind of toned down for a PG-13 audience. They were going to be very visual, practical effects.
Yeah.
I mean, and I thought Dewey's in the last movie was pretty brutal. Spoiler alert for those of you who haven't seen the film. But I thought that was brutal. It seems like every kill in this movie was kind of next level. It started with the first one, which is good. And then we get to the point where, she's on the ground. She's been properly dispatched by the killer. And then he just kind of stands up and where you're expecting the title card to come there or him to say some quippy little horror one-liner.
Knife wipe.
He does the whole pulling the mask off. And you see Tony Revolori's face and I'm like, already? I'm like, I don't understand why you reveal the killer in the first 5 minutes of the movie. It was such a strange thing. And I'm like, what is this about here? And then it occurred to me the one spoiler that I couldn't avoid about this movie was somebody had told me a long time ago that there were two sets of killers that weren't necessarily working together. And I was like, okay, so you're going to tell me one of the killers right off the jump to kind of confuse me and get me off kilter because that's so unusual. And that's going to make everything work out better. And then I'm like, all right. And then we get to the second part of the opening where, he gets home. He calls, obviously, it becomes pretty clear that they are also, like so many of the other killers from the second movie on, inspired by just the legacy of what's bro and everything that's happened. And then, of course, eventually the movies. He gets on the phone with his friend and says, yeah, I couldn't help it. I had to go kill somebody, blah, blah. So they're obviously this team of killers. And I'm kind of like, I don't really understand. I'm a little confused. I'm a little back on my heels about this. But then you realize that he's talking to Ghostface. And I'm like, wait a minute. Whoa. I'm like, I don't understand what's happening here. I'm very, very confused. I'm liking it, but I'm very, very confused. And then, that whole scene plays out. He goes into the fridge. He finds his friend's mutilated body just kind of laying in there. And then he himself gets dispatched.
You got Greg's head in the refrigerator like Jason's. You got his mom on the table. Yeah, I love
and then he himself gets dispatched. And I was like, holy shit, that's crazy. And then all that happens. Title card, Scream 6. And then it's like into the movie we go. And I'm like, wow, cool. Now I'm on board for whatever chaos this movie is going to give me after this, because I was like, you've given me the opposite of what you've always given me. You brought it back to center all in the span of like 5 or 10 minutes, and you kind of shocked me into understanding like you're not going to be getting the regular horror fare out of this. We're going to try to do something a little different. We're going to present it to you differently. I was like, okay, let's go. I'm ready. But yeah, I thought it was a fantastic opening that really kind of like it lets you know. It just lets you know that you're in for a hell of a ride.
It lets you know this ain't your dad's Scream movie.
Yeah, no doubt. But
the title card scene was incredible with New York City as the backdrop for it. I thought that was so cool. I love that.
Yeah.
Can I ask you, Frank, were you disappointed that it was different, or do you think you're glad it's not the same as every other Scream entrance or beginning?
I'm actually glad, because one of my problems with this franchise as a whole is it hasn't stepped outside of itself enough. It's like the first movie played on a lot of the tropes, and I was like, okay, because that was a fairly new idea when that movie came out, like in 96, 97.
96.
That was a fairly new idea to play on the horror, to admit to the horror tropes and to use it. I was like, okay, that I'm okay with that. That's why I don't really mind the first movie. But the subsequent movies after that never really got out of that rut, and I was like, okay, now you're just another
Fast and the Furious.
So many other horror movies. Yeah, because so many other horror movies specifically have kind of gone down that path and just kind of like succumbing to the crap that we all expect. I think that's one of the reasons why we hit that kind of dead spot for about 10 or 15 years in horror, where there was nothing really inventive coming out. So, and I think that was kind of part of it. This movie doesn't do that. It's like, okay, we spent the last movie kind of modernizing the typical Scream tropes. I actually kind of like the opening of the last film, where it's like the whole going back and forth, locking the doors over the app thing.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that was a pretty interesting way to kind of modernize the feel of that opening scene, because it was a lot like the Drew Barrymore scene from the first movie. But instead of having that brick phone with the antenna you got to pull out like we had back in the 90s, she's on a cell phone. She got the app going back and forth, locking the doors with the app. I thought that was a fun way to that was a way to make it a little bit different, a little more modern. This one, completely different, completely new, revealing a killer right off the jump, I thought was crazy. I'm like, if you're just going to flip the entire genre on its head, I'm ready. Let's go. Because sometimes that's what a genre needs. It needs to be turned upside down. So I was all for it. I thought it was great. I thought it was a great opening. Really, kind of my favorite of the entire franchise. As I sit here and think about it, I mean, I like the one more. The series has had a couple of really good openings, opening kills, opening scenes. This one to me is my favorite. I mean, you're thinking about it, Tex. Is there one that you that outweighs it for you?
No, Jada doesn't count.
Well,
all things considered at the moment, current time.
Scream. One point I'm going to disagree here a little bit. Scream 5's opening to me might be one of the weaker ones. Is it good? Yes, but it's not as good as others. Scream 1's opening with Drew Barrymore, that's iconic. You're never going to beat that no matter what you do.
Oh, yeah.
Scream 2, you got Jada Pinkett Smith getting in the movie theater with a bunch of ghost faces applauding her death. Come on, who doesn't love that? Scream 4's opening, where where Wes Craven gets real crazy with the meta kill, whether you see a kill, but it's really a stab movie, then they get to it, like the whole layers upon that. I love that one as well. I don't know how I would rank them. Obviously, Scream 1's opening is first, but this might be 2 or 3 for me. And there's going to be a lot of that with this film, whether it's a 2 or is it 3. The opening of this film really impressed me. It subverted a lot of the tropes and the horror, things they like to do. And I know Wes Craven's gone, God rest his soul, but it feels like he made this movie a lot of times, and that's what made it really, really good. So I liked this opening. I dug it. I was there for it.
I don't know, Jeremy. I mean, give a quick ranking of your top two. I mean, you agree with Tex? What do you think?
I mean, you can't beat the first one. Obviously, that's the iconic. I mean, I know we're gonna get to the end of the movie, but it's like when a certain somebody, I won't ruin anything yet, gets called, and I'm like, are you gonna say what's your favorite scary movie? I'm like, of course you are. Yeah, so you can't beat that. The classic, 96.
This one wasn't about the movies though. I mean, Ghostface even says it in this movie.
It's about the stab movies, kind of, but not. I don't know. I don't know.
This one's more about the true crime than the stab movies, which is what makes this trilogy different from the first trilogy, if you really look at it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I appreciate that. Yeah, I appreciate that 5 tried to modernize it a little bit with the app and whatnot. Because I don't know. This one wasn't too bad. It just, my only thing with this one was it seemed like Flash Thompson was a little just too. I can't. He's Flash Thompson. I'm sorry.
He's Jason killing in Manhattan. Come on, dude. Come on.
It was very obvious what it was supposed to be. He just seems like even a little too just chill with the fact that, oh yeah, I stabbed some girl in the alleyway. I'm gonna go say hi to Jenny Ortega, and then I'm gonna go back to my apartment and just be like, yeah, so it was a normal night. It was kind of rough, man. Things happen. I'm like, you're gonna do something that brutal and just be like, oh man,
you're stone cold, right? Man. I dug it.
I mean, that's how psychopaths are. They'll just do stuff.
Yeah.
Nothing will phase
them.
Yeah,
I guess. I guess it was a nice balance of like, oh, he's just walking down the street. And like when he got home, he even tried to like clean some stuff off. I'm like, oh, so he was walking around with like blood all over his jacket and his hands and whatnot.
Lucky it was Halloween.
True.
Right.
Yeah.
And again,
that'd be the night.
And in of all cities, New York City, because like no one gives a shit. You can stab somebody in the street and they just walk right past you. So.
Well, yeah, to call the cops, they always say scream fire, not other words.
Yep.
So
yeah,
it's always scream fire.
Well,
people care if things burn down and people want to watch.
I'm being stabbed by a fire. Help me!
Start screaming Ghostface. Well, maybe that'll help.
I'll go to you real quick, 10 September. I mean, of all the openings of these movies, what are your top 2 or 3? Where does this rank for you?
Well, because Jeremy and I share a brain, I was going to say you can't beat the first one. The first one's the best. I mean, that's just how I feel about it. I did like the opening to this one a lot, though. It was different than any of the other openings have been, I felt. Especially with the reveal of the killer within, first couple minutes of the movie. Well, the first killer anyways.
Yeah. Yeah, me personally, I put this one on top. A very close second is the original. Because that really is classic horror.
That's blasphemy right there.
Well, I mean, I love the first one. It really is. The way it's shot, the way it's done up, it really is like a classic horror film. That to me is really my favorite scene of the original film, to be honest. It's very well done. It's very classic horror inspired. I really liked it. Third one after that, I mean, I'd probably put the last one, Scream 5, because it is kind of a new twist on the old thing. And I like modernizing things a little bit just to kind of make them fit now, but still do the classic thing, the classic feel. But the rest of them are whatever. I mean, they've been good. Well, the whole series has had some good opening scenes.
Because these darn kids, they see that original movie, they're like, what's that kind of phone she's got on her face? Well, listen here, child. What you do?
Is that a radio?
Right.
I had somebody ask it a while back. I was looking at some picture like one of the old brick phones. They were like, "Is that a radio?" And I'm like, "No."
Essentially,
the early cell phones look like. They were essentially, yes.
Yeah.
But yeah, again a good opening. But now let's move on to the plot. And I'll start with you on this one, Jeremy.
Oh crap.
The plot.
It's like he's calling me out or something.
No, I mean, I'm not calling you out. I'm calling the movie out. This plot was very cookie cutter and kind of drab. It didn't impress me.
It's not like he's asking you to defend 90s movies. Just talk about this.
Oh, I know. You notice how he's been saying the first one's really great. I mean, I don't know. It came out in like the mid-90s, but whatever. I digress.
Well, I didn't say it was great. I said it was good. I enjoyed it. I didn't say it was great. I wouldn't put it.
He can't even give it credit.
Backpedaling.
But I mean, the plot. This has been the weakest part of this entire franchise to me is the plot. It's like the first movie, I get it, but it's like now it's just like
meta.
person connected with the two main characters is trying to kill them. And
Yeah, how many times are we able to do that now? Yeah.
Yeah, there's nothing new about it. I mean, I'm just like, come on. It's always somebody that's kind of like it's got because like at first it was like okay, Stu and what's his name had their reasons. Stu and
Billy.
Stu and Billy had some reasons. Okay, that's fine.
Mm-hmm.
But it seems like every movie since then it's just been like really we're just trying to find some distant person, some person that's connected in some weird way to this person who was deeply involved in the last movie or the first movie to try to we're going to use some obscure connection to try to why they're mad and they want to kill Sydney or why they're mad and they want to kill the two new girls. So I'm like, come on, it's so drab.
It's going to be
honestly, as much as I was not trying to figure out who the killers were for the vast majority of this movie, part of me was kind of like, I kind of already know where it's coming from. It's connected to somebody, and I'm like, who else could it really be connected to, except for somebody in the last film? And for some reason, Cora jumped out. We
lost Cora.
But I don't know. Jeremy, I mean,
Cora was the first victim of the podcast. I called it.
Or she's hiding bodies. That was fast, Cora. Holy crap!
I never left. For some reason, my browser disconnected for like a moment, so I heard everything you said. Tex.
Check outside your window.
Hey, you know what? On my new place, I have internal shutters, and they're all closed. But until I buy curtains, I'm paranoid someone's peeking through them, anyways. So I feel what you're saying.
You're fine.
Right. I do.
But, Jeremy, defend the plot. I mean, did you mind it as much as me? What do you think?
Yeah, because that's the problem too. Is like it has like it's starting to have like the Spaceballs thing where it's like I'm your father's cousin's brother's nephew's former roommate. I'm like, what? Okay, why are you mad? It's interesting that's part of the entertaining part of seeing how we're gonna hopscotch back all the way back to '96 that someone Nif Campbell went to high school with is like that's why I'm mad. Like, okay, good for you. I don't know. It worked, and then until it kind of doesn't. And like you said, I try to not think about who the killer is, but then it lives right free in my head. I just got Jimmy Kennedy in their backers screaming, "Everyone's a suspect!" So I try to look at it, and I unfortunately had the same problem as the last movie, where I'm like, I saw somebody coming from a fucking mile away. I'm like, yeah, you're definitely the killer. That's not even. And then
I had 2 out of the 3 within the rules scene.
I had one where I was like, wait a minute. Wait, maybe that one too. But I will say, yes, there was something that did surprise me. I mean, I guess if we're doing spoilers, like there was a third, and that one kind of actually took me off guard. So it kind of got me, but I'm just at this point, like, I don't know. I don't know how any of this works. And of course, you bring back, you got to have the meta of the legacy characters like Hayden Panettiere and Courtney Cox's character. Right, I know.
Kirby.
How do you, right. I was like, I love Hayden Panettiere. I don't want you to be the one, please. And like Frank always says, there's always just one quick line of dialogue to explain away Nif Campbell. I'm like, well, that's no shock either. But I don't know. I guess she's probably had enough of this shit too, and she's just gonna take her kids and hide.
She'll be back for 7. I'm telling you right now.
Probably. I hope so. I didn't see her being the killer in this one at all. Anyway, I was like, nah. You don't bring her back and make it a killer. That seemed wrong.
Well, that's kind of the weird thing. Is like someone pops in for, well, obviously, you know, the nostalgia and stuff like that. But it's like, but why are you here? You know, what are you doing now? You're suddenly an FBI agent investigating this stuff. So, I don't know. One thing took me by surprise, but not really. Now, the kills, though, that's a different issue. On the kill side, holy good God. That's what was cool.
We'll get to the kills specifically here in just a minute.
Yeah, that was cool.
Yeah, but 10 September, let's go to you next. I mean, the overall plot, I mean, did you think it was kind of new and fresh enough, or is that really just kind of what horror movies are, especially what you get in the horror franchises?
So when I was watching it, I kind of forgot that I was supposed to kind of be figuring out who was doing what. Just kind of sitting there watching the movie. But it felt like a large buildup to me. Like I really enjoyed quite a bit of it, and then when the reveal happened, I was like, "Oh, that's why. That's it. That's your whole motivation." Like
Yeah.
You're gonna go on a murderous rampage for that.
Flash Thompson did it just to finish a film, so I mean, hey, who knows?
I know, but I don't.
We watch true crime. People do it for less.
Yes, but that's the beginning of the movie, not the end. Like, I can accept something as menial as that for the beginning of the movie, but not this big climax into essentially you killed my brother. Okay.
Okay. Sorry.
Right. Like he was unstable and murderous.
Didn't he try to kill me? So
right, like
I'm
gonna kill all of you because you defended yourself.
Yeah, are you glossing over the fact that him and his crazy girlfriend were trying to kill everybody in Woodsboro? Everybody was connected to?
Like it felt like this big build-up.
Notice this?
It felt like a huge build-up to me, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, the ending!" And then it was I fell off the edge. Essentially, it just. I don't know. I felt like the plot was good up until the end. The end was disappointing.
No. Tex, what did you think? Too cookie cutter, or was this original enough to make you happy? As one of the horror aficionados of the channel.
I enjoyed the plot, but there's one thing that needs to be. This isn't Shakespeare. This is a slasher film. Yeah. So the more convoluted you make the plot of why, more often than not, you screw it up. I mean, how many times?
Didn't they mention Halloween? Like, as for the
I was just say there's Halloween, Jace, Friday the 13th Nightmare. I mean, this is literally why Scream is a franchise. Why Wes Craven did what he did in '96 was guy breaks out of of the crazy bin wearing a white mask, and he's coming to kill Jamie Lee Curtis for the 14th time. But it's going to make $100 million, so we're going to keep doing it because you people like it. So I liked the plot. I thought it was good. I love the ties to Richie. Like I said, this is a spoiler. If you haven't seen it at this point, go watch it and come back. I thought it made sense. The whole keep it simple, stupid. Was it the most creative plot? No, but it doesn't have to be. Like I said, this isn't Hitchcock here. This isn't some M. Night Shyamalan nonsense that's overblown. And by the end of it, you're like, well, hang on, 30 minutes ago, it was something else. You knew what the movie was. It was simple and it delivered. I liked the plot. I thought it delivered. One of these certain Ghostfaces is my favorite killer in the last few movies, and that was Detective Bailey. I really enjoyed, especially his part of this plot. I thought he was probably the most believable killer in a long time that we've had, and the reasoning why, the plot of his motivations, I thought they were great. I thought it was good, so I'm here for it.
Yeah, I thought it was really odd that, and again, one of the nitpicky things, but again, you turn your brain off and watch. This isn't IR, like Tex said, but it's like they just so happened to decide to go to college in the town where the guy's dad was a detective. I mean, now I know a lot of people can say, well, maybe he transferred there after they went to college there and blah blah blah. Okay, whatever. I mean, I can what if this to make all the sense that I want, but if it's not explained in the movie, then I don't know for sure. Then I have no idea what the actual deal is. So part of me is kind of like, well, whatever. I'll swallow that one just for the sake of the movie. But other than that, there wasn't anything special about it. And one of the things, that's kind of one of the things that disappointed me about it after that opening scene, where I'm kind of in this mindset where, okay, they're gonna take everything that I think I know about horror movies and this franchise in particular, and they're gonna mix some shit up and give you a whole new recipe. I'm like, okay, I'm ready. And they just give me the same basic plot. And I'm like, well, not great, but whatever. I mean, I
think I would have loved to see them. I'd love to see the movie, how the hell they got all that stuff together from all the past killers and whatnot. Like, good God, that had to be an operation.
That actually makes a lot of sense, because for decades now, there's been a really weird black market for artifacts from murders. I mean,
from actual
that's one of the reasons why they passed. I forget the name of the law, but there's a law saying that murderers cannot make money off of memorabilia from their crimes.
Yeah,
right.
They can't make money off that. So it's like there were people. I've read stories about people that have bought like the knife that was used in the Tate LaBianca murders and things like that, or like people trying to find some way to get the gun that killed Kennedy or whatever. I mean, there's a fascination that drives. Yeah,
someone's got Ted Bundy's VW Beetle. Yeah.
There's a weird market that builds up for that stuff. So it makes sense that of all the people that would know how to get to some evidence, because you would imagine all or most of the shit would have been evidence.
Yeah.
That it would have been a cop that said, I'm going to pull some strings inside whatever police department or FBI or whoever was investigating the prior crimes to maybe get a piece of this. Drop a guy a couple of G's on the low and he hands me Stu Macher's robe. I mean, it makes sense.
Nail on the head there.
and thematically it works out for who the killers ended up being. But for the most part, I was like, I didn't really dig their motivation. It didn't make a whole lot of sense to me, especially considering that up to the point where his son dies in the last movie, his character, he was probably a good cop. He was probably a good enough cop to know that, hey, my son was hacking people up. He probably got what he deserved. I mean, now granted, sometimes, if it's your kid, it kind of breaks you somewhere in the head. Maybe you don't see things rationally. You
don't believe it, yeah.
Yeah, there's an exception. So there's an exception that makes sense, but in the end, I'm like, I don't know.
I kind of got a vibe with Dexter and his father. I can't remember the name of Dexter's father from the TV show, but he knew his son was kind of off, so he was, he trained him in the ways to, you only do this to bad people. This kind of felt like this was a little bit of Scream's version of that, with Detective Bailey kind of giving into his son's needs and feelings and whatever them meant to kind of suffice him a little bit, but it kind of felt similar to me in that way. I don't know, maybe I was the only one.
Maybe he saw his opportunity because, like, the way they, I guess, kind of use the modern day thing is like it'd be very easy to turn. She's already kind of vilified on the internet, the older sister. So he's like, maybe
Sam.
Sam. It's like it's the revenge plot. So it's like, well, this could very easily be swept under the rug as,
Well, her previous two generations were killers. I mean,
he's like, this is so easy for me to do. I'm a cop.
Right.
I have access to this. She's already, an offspring of Billy's. So this wouldn't be too hard to just spin the right way to make it seem like it's her fault and just bring her down a notch just for killing my son.
It's just easy to make anybody a villain on the internet anyways. I mean, that was really
it's like,
which was
like, as we saw, obviously
that whole part of her story.
Yeah,
as we saw, obviously the news doesn't, take things out of context just for the views. So they show that video of her outside the party, and of course they're like, oh, well, she's going crazy. It's like, well, no, you just didn't see the part where the girl attacked her, and then she snapped back.
If I
show her as being mentally unstable, then it's like, well, everyone's gonna believe that now.
If I walk up and hit you in the face, Jeremy, and then I start recording 2 seconds after that of you attacking me,
right?
Who's going to look good and who's going to look bad here?
Exactly.
That's not hard to do. You know what I mean? So
I thought the bit with the psychologist was interesting at the beginning.
That was a great scene.
So that was interesting to me because he's like, well, I have to report you. She did not. I'm criticizing a movie that's not going for necessarily accuracy, but that's not how that works.
Right.
This is not how that works. They could have had him ask more questions.
This wasn't a documentary?
No, I don't think it was.
Oh, damn it.
But, you have to do all those other steps. But I thought it was interesting. He's like telling her, I'm going to report you. And then he lets her leave. That's not how that works.
Right.
Well, but then I was like, oh, he's going to die.
Well, obviously he's going to die.
Well,
but,
how powerful was Melissa Barrera in that scene, though? I mean, I thought she was great in Scream 5. She was my favorite part of that whole movie. But my God, when she's just sitting there talking about, I stabbed him 23 times and then I slit his throat. And the scariest part was I liked it. I was so captivated. Like I was like in love and just in awe of this, woman on the screen here. And she's, I get it. Everybody loves Jenna Ortega. Jenna Ortega is the greatest thing since sliced bread or Chris Pratt. She's everywhere. You can't get away from her.
I don't know about Chris Pratt, but
the
Mario movie hasn't come out yet.
I put him in there because he's in everything, and so is Jenna Ortega now.
That's fair.
But Melissa Barrera has not gotten the credit she deserves. She has done amazing work in these last 2 films. And, somehow she shows kind of like this. Well, I mean, she's obviously a victim here, but she's not your traditional final girl of, oh, it's a scary guy in the Ghostface mask coming to get me. She's just as crazy as the Ghostface is. She's just hasn't gone all the way there. That's what makes this so interesting.
She has like an air of control over it. It's
so far.
Yeah.
We haven't.
They could do something really special with it.
Yeah.
Right.
She's willing to go that far, but it's like she's not doing it just to do it like Flash Thompson. So,
Well, her point, her whole point in this movie is, obviously she's, she feels bad because, she walked away from Sam, her little sister, for 5 years or whatever. Just had nothing to do with it. So there's a resentment built up, and now she's trying to overcompensate by being there more, and she's smothering now like a mom who's with a bad kid is. And Sam's like, wanting to go upstairs and get laid with the guy, but or Tara is wanting to go, but Sam is so controlling. They've got like this protective network over her. Like, yeah, if she gets into anything or whatever, you throw fist fights and tase some dude in the nuts if he looks at her halfway nice. Which that scene, my God, that hurt my balls watching. But good Lord, it is what it is. I don't know.
I kind of shuffled in my seat in that scene. I was like,
yeah, I mean, she gets him right in his. Right in Poncho and Lefty, they get it bad, dude. I was like, holy crap, that was horrible.
Did anyone else notice the person at the party who was dressed up like Wednesday Addams, and it wasn't her?
Yes.
Yes. Oh, dude, there are some. You can pause this movie. I can't wait for this to come out on streaming because I want to pause this and just see all the. Just the train scene alone, Easter eggs. There are so many things I want to go back and see. But
I still thought that could have been funnier than hell if she was the one wearing the Wednesday Addams outfit to the Halloween party. It's like, haha, meta. You get it if you know. That would have been funny, but
I think it'd have been too on the nose, having the background. I think probably.
But that's the point, isn't it?
I did have one question though. Why was Sam hiding that she was sleeping with Danny, the neighbor guy? What was the point of that? I didn't see why that was needed.
Everyone's a suspect.
I felt like it was that. Go ahead.
No, it's to build suspense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess that's.
Yeah, you side.
That's the one part of the plot for me that I felt was unnecessary.
She's telling everybody else, don't trust anybody, don't trust a stranger,
right.
And
you're not even
sleeping with a stranger. Like she's being a hypocrite, and she doesn't want people to find out she's being a hypocrite. That's the way I.
Danny is the new Cotton Weary in this new Scream trilogy. Cotton Weary was attached to Sydney in the originals, and did he kill? Did he whatever? I wrote the guy's name down. Josh Segura. I want more of this guy in the Scream franchise. Yeah. I was really impressed with this dude.
Oh yeah,
he was like my standout of the film of at least new people. Because he could have very easily been a Ghostface killer, a believable killer.
Yeah.
But this dude was awesome in this movie.
In my head, I thought he ruled him out from the beginning.
I did too.
Don't trust the love.
I thought it was too obvious. I thought it was too obvious.
They did the new guy who was her boyfriend in the last movie to redo it again.
Right.
I was like, that would have looked kind of silly.
Right.
The killers alone are silly anyway, but I was like, it would have been too. You did it already. If you did that back to back,
and we've seen the so-called physical prowess of Ghostface. Like that dude was jacked, so I'm like, oh, I could believe he was doing this,
Right.
But I think it was supposed to be like you're like, I don't know, you're outside the group, so I don't know if we really should trust you. But yeah, like Frank said, I'm like, yeah, we did the don't trust the love interest. We just introduced this person, so I'm like, yeah, it's probably not him. But my only thought was like, well, this is more than just two. So it's like there's just people all over the place doing these killings. So he could have been someone who was helping, maybe. Kind of like in a way of like Hot Fuzz. Like there's multiples of them in the town all helping out. But I don't know.
Well, like in the scene, okay, well, let's just go to it. The scene where they're in the park and Mindy's giving the whole Randy speech of here's the rules of here's a requel, here's a sequel. Now this is a trilogy. Even legacy characters aren't safe. Now it's a franchise. They're really breaking this down here. I knew Quinn and Ethan were killers immediately. I picked them. I was like, yep, they may not be all of them, but they're part of them. And I was right. I didn't expect Detective Bailey. I'll be real honest with you. That one surprised me. But
so was Quinn the curly-haired kid that kept showing up late?
Quinn? No, yeah. Quinn was the redheaded girl. Yeah. That was sleeping with the guy. Hey, babe, who's tall? You know, whenever she comes out of the bedroom talking about sleeping with another guy. I thought that was kind of funny, too.
Ethan was the curly.
That's Ethan. That's the dude that didn't want to die a virgin or whatever.
And, see, Ethan's the one I saw coming from a mile away because I'm like, oh, you're like never here.
Yeah, that's Ethan.
I'm like, no, it was you for fucking sure.
Yeah.
Now, the only time I thought about the detective is like there was a scene where he called them and he was on the phone. And the way his voice sounded over the speaker on the phone, I was like, wait a minute. Whoa, you sound like Ghostface. I was like, wait, it could be too. But
they got back
the hell out of me because they thought, oh, she died. They had that scene where, she got killed in the apartment. I was like, oh, well, shit, it wasn't her. But that's the only one that surprised me.
Well, I mean, as far as the Ghostface voice goes, they got Roger Jackson, the original Ghostface, back. He wasn't in the last one. That's why this Ghostface sounds so much better, especially, and when we get to the deaths portion, I'll talk about that. But, I didn't see I thought Detective Bailey was going to be a red herring, much like Josh Segura's character, Danny. I thought those two were both going to be red herrings because, it was, could they be? Yes. Are they? Maybe not. I don't know. But, I was very happy to see, as far as plot goes, how the rules seem kind of. I mean, because if you go back and watch 5, Dewey just straight up looks at Richie like, "Yeah, never trust the love interest," and points it out. So just for that fact alone, I'm like, "Yep, you." Like when they have Mindy talking about don't trust new people, and they're showing the new people in the group, you're both guilty. I know you both did these things. I know what's going on here. So yeah.
Yeah, I again the plot kind of middles along like every other Scream movie, but the one thing that really disappointed me, one of the things I had heard, the one spoiler that like I said earlier, that I had heard about this movie was that there wasn't just 2 killers, it was 2 sets of killers, and they weren't necessarily working together, and that got me really excited. I was like, wait a minute, so there's 2 groups of killers, they're not on the same team, meaning they're probably going to butt heads at some point in this film. That's a cool little evil 3-way of chaos that we haven't gotten in this franchise before.
Evil 3-way of chaos is a whole.
That could be something crazy different that would make this a lot more fun and give it a different dimension. But alas, it doesn't last past the first 10 minutes of the film because Flash Thompson and his unnamed buddy, who we only see pieces of the refrigerator, didn't make it to the title card. So I was kind of like, really? That to me was really exciting. And when I heard that, I was like, okay, that's very different. I want to know what the motivation for this group of killers and this group of killers is, because I know at some point they're going to come into conflict. They may have the same intention, but their reasonings and motives are going to be very, very different. That's going to cause another level of chaos that is different. That is a whole other level of what films can be. And that sounded fun, but it never materialized. In the end, it was just one group of killers that want to kill the heroine, and that's a little too typical for me. Go ahead, Jay.
It sounds like the current season of Mandalorian. We're on the same side here, kind of, but we have different methods in approaching how we go about this, and we're going to start butting heads. Just saying. It sounds.
Hey, Bo-Katan's working some shit. We're going to talk about that later, but Bo-Katan is working.
Yeah. Well, so are 2 other people that we spent, 80% of this episode with. So
yeah,
that all right. Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, for me again, kind of an average plot, nothing overly special past the first 10 minutes. A little disappointing. But then again, isn't that kind of, well, look, if you think about it, Nightmare on Elm Street, that franchise, the plot of that movie has changed pretty regularly. I mean, at first it was just Freddy hacking up the kids of the people that killed him. Then at one point, it's like, I want to take over this baby so that I can live again. Then it was, he comes out of the movies and into the real world, and he's going after the real life actress to play the final girl. Yep. And then, so it's like his mission changes, generally speaking, a couple different times over the course of the franchise. That gives it a whole new look. This one, not so much. And honestly, that's something that kind of a lot of horror franchises kind of go with. I mean, like you mentioned Halloween earlier. Michael Myers is always trying to kill Laurie Strode. It's like whatever his reasons are, he always finds his way back to Laurie and wants to kill her. And I get it. That's kind of a horror movie thing. But if the idea of Scream was to be a different level of horror, was to kind of turn the franchise into something, turn the genre into something new, give it a different aspect, it hasn't done that. I mean, it kind of did for the first one, and then it just decided, well, we were kind of new, so that's just going to be our thing. We're going to be kind of new to what was back in 1997. And I'm like, I don't really understand, but whatever. I mean, like I said, it didn't bring down the movie to me that much, but I wanted more, especially after hearing what I heard about the two different sets of killers. I thought that would have been very exciting.
I heard the same thing about the two sets of killers, which is kind of funny. I heard it within 2 to 3 days of the same time that you had, but I heard it from somebody else because, test screenings, whatever they said is what it is. I was really hoping they were going for the Ghostface cult route, and that there was different sects that aren't necessarily part of the same cult, but they operate independently of one another. And I liked that this film kind of leans into that being a thing in 7, because especially with Kirby, she's investigating all the Ghostface stuff, and how she had Sam and Tara, she was tracking them, their phone calls, their internet stuff, their whatever. So this leads me to believe that this isn't the only people that are doing this in the country. This is just happening in Woodsboro as we speak. Back in Hollywood, is this happening? What this plot does, for as simple as it may be, it laid a lot of groundwork for bigger things to come in the next film. This isn't Scream 7, which is greenlit. It'll be filming this summer, going into October, I believe. This is Scream 7's not necessarily the last film. Look how successful this one was. You know what happens when Hollywood has a big movie that makes a bunch of money. They keep pumping them out. And these Scream films are cheap to make, and 99% of the time, they're profitable. So we might get 7, 8, 9, 10. So if they take what they did with Kirby and the whole investigating Ghostface's thing, we might get 3 more films out of this. Whether that be good or bad or indifferent, that's to be seen. But for as simple as this plot was, they did some pretty cool stuff with it. Like I said, I'm happy with what they did.
So the 10th movie needs to be in space, is what you're telling me.
Hey, I am down for a ghost. Could you imagine a Ghostface painted on a NASA helmet? Come on, dude. You wouldn't love that? I am totally down for that.
That'd be pretty sweet.
Well, now we need Freddy versus Jason versus Ghostface.
Right.
Well, if they're going to do Jason and Nick Fury be in it, because I want to know where the fuck he is.
Well, no, we have Dr. Loomis. We have Dr. Loomis show up and talk to Ghostface and be like, "Oh well, we have a serial killer initiative, but give it like a sword or shield nickname or something kind of creative."
And then Dom Shadow comes and kills everyone.
It needs to be
right.
Dr. Loomis, the drunk versions from Halloween 4, 5, and 6, not the one in Halloween 1. I want the drunk. I want the drunk Loomis where he's screaming at children and holding them hostage, waiting for Michael Myers in Halloween 5. That's what I want. So, yeah.
But let's move on now and just talk about kind of the kills in general. I mean, again, they said that these kills were going to be a lot more visceral, visual. They were going to be very intense. From the opening scene all the way through the end, I mean, the kills were not disappointing at all. Yeah. From the way that Samira Weaving gets killed at the beginning of the movie to Tony Revolori's surprising dismemberment at the hand of the real Ghostface, the body in the fridge. I mean, you get 3 pretty interesting dead bodies in the first 10 or 15 minutes of the film. Love the way the kills did not disappoint at all over the course of this movie. I'll go to you first on this one. Tex. just great kills all around. Was there anything wrong with the visuals in all this movie?
There were 3 kills that stood out for me. Anika, Mindy's girlfriend in the film, she gets stabbed in the gut. I was telling Frank before we started the show. Now, apparently, in the Scream world, getting eviscerated in the gut with a knife is like a flesh wound. You can just walk away from it now. It's no big thing. I mean, your stomach can be flailing out of you like, bad ravioli from a can, and you'll probably be okay. But she gets gutted, and then she's on. First of all, who has that big of a ladder in a New York apartment that spreads from one building to the next?
That's why you're side-eyeing him. Like, why do you have that?
I'm like, are you in construction? Do you paint houses?
No.
What do you do?
Use it to hang their laundry. They share it.
Maybe, I don't know.
I don't know. He probably does heavy construction. I don't fucking know.
I mean, obviously, we saw the trailer where the girl was on the ladder halfway through the building. Number one, as somebody who's scared of heights, there's no way. I would fight for 15 ghost faces than crawl across building to building in New York. There ain't no way I'm doing that. But when she's halfway across and he starts shaking the ladder, I'm like, you might as well just jump. You're going to die. You're screwed. But we see her fall in non-traditional Scream fashion. Here's where the gore comes in, because her head bounces off of that dumpster like Negan just bashed her with a baseball bat, and they showed it. I'm like, holy crap, that was cool. Yeah. That was, I mean, that's got to be kill of the movie for me. But that, and then Chad's almost death, which should have been death, where he's getting.
Yeah, that was my favorite.
When he's getting gutted by 2 ghost faces and then they turn around, synchronized, and do the knife wipe at the same time, I wanted to stand up and applaud in the theater. I was like, this is why I come to the movies right here.
That was a really cool visual to see them both.
Yes.
I was like, wow.
Yes, that awesome. Was like, oh my God. Yeah. Like that, and then the scene with Gail in the apartment. I mean, when you've got, even prior to her getting stabbed, Ghostface calls and he is just eviscerating her with the words, "Oh, well, you never got to be the leading lady," and da-da-da-da-da. I mean, just tearing her to the core. And as much as I'm not a Courtney Cox fan, she delivers in that scene there. I mean, you can see the pain and the anguish in her face and everything else. And, and then just to see the fight that she has with Ghostface, that once again, another one who gets stabbed in the gut and so apparently lives, which she should have died too as well. But
I thought she was going to die.
She should have. To be fair,
to
be fair, Chad, Gail, and Mindy should have at least died. Those 3 at a minimum.
True.
But I don't know. That's just
I thought Mindy died. I mean, I straight up thought that she
should have.
Should have died there.
She gets gutted on the train and then just hops up like a little bunny rabbit at the end of the movie, like nothing happened.
Absolutely not.
And she's still bopping around like, oh, damn it, I missed that one. No, that wasn't right. Damn. I'm like, what?
The plot armor is strong in this movie for that core 4, buddy. Core 4. That's why I started with it. You know what I mean? I mean, you could shoot them with a Gatling gun and they're just gonna, get a little flesh wound and walk away. They're fine. It's crazy. Yeah.
These people kind of became Terminators. And it's a little
No,
weird.
they just have the Marvel Resurrection Stone or Harry Potter Resurrection Stone.
Yeah. True.
I mean, health insurance is expensive. They better be surviving as much as they can.
Right.
I bet their life insurance premiums are outrageous. You're like, wait a minute, you've been attacked by a crazy killer twice? I don't know if we want to give you life insurance.
You seem like a liability.
How about that kill where Sam takes out Detective Bailey at the end wearing her dad's Ghostface robe and mask? How cool is that shit?
That was pretty sweet. The fucking the fire on the background of the movie. Yeah.
Did you say that Quinn's robe was sparkling? Did anyone else notice that?
All of them are.
Yeah,
like was all more of them. So than I like with glitter. I was like, why are these glittery?
Yeah, no, all of them have that diamond kind of deal because it's like that. I mean, I don't think the original Ghostface had the glittery to it, but to sell new ones as they went, they did that. But when Sam is using the Ghostface voice changer, literally channeling Billy Loomis in that kill, and she is brutal at that thing. Oh my God, I was like, I'm in love. this chick's cool. I dig her. Stab him, kill him. I loved it. So that was awesome.
Yeah, again, the kills fantastic, but like Tex said, it's like when what's his name, the guy? Oh, I'm blanking the name.
Which
Chad.
one? Chad, yeah. Chad, he's the new Dewey, by the way. He's your new Dewey.
I was watching that and I was like, they're holding him out by his arm. No protection. He is absolutely vulnerable.
Right.
They're holding him with one hand and just repeatedly stabbing him from both sides.
Right.
And I'm like, well, this is his end. And I was like, and that's cool because it was tragic. It was tragic for what's her name? For Wednesday Addams. It was tragic for her character.
Jenna Ortega.
Because she had just finally had that moment that they had been kind of dancing around for the whole movie.
Yeah.
They finally had their first kiss. Sweet. And then 3 seconds later, he's like getting just stabbed. Yeah. And I'm like, oh, well, this is the end of him. So I guess you can get stabbed 40. Now, it's not like getting stabbed in the gut, Tex. Because
he got in the chest. I mean, like heart and lung.
Your vitals are right here.
Because I've heard people getting, like, shot and stabbed multiple times in the stomach and not having anything punctured, like through some act of God, they managed to avoid all the organs and they heal it pretty quickly. But I'm like,
unless he's wearing
multiple
mithril.
stab wounds to the chest, which means your lungs.
Right.
You take multiple stab wounds to your heart. You take multiple stab wounds to your liver, kidneys. They came in from the side too. They didn't come in like in the front. They come from the side at an angle.
Yeah, no, they're
stabbed
well, because
7 times on each side, and at the end of the movie, they're just wheeling out in a stretcher with some oxygen mask. I'm like, God, come on! It's like I know that it's a horror.
They have more plot armor than Batman does in a movie. All right,
you turn off you suspend your disbelief. You just turn it off and stuff your face full of popcorn and joy. But like, there's some things where I'm like, dude, I can't just overlook that. There's logic that creeps in here. Where I'm like, really?
Well, didn't they make a joke about like wearing like a Kevlar vest? I'm like, wait, do they have a bulletproof vest on? Because that'd be kind of fucking funny. You takes the sweatshirt off. He's like,
everybody has a vest on. Everybody's wearing one for no reason. Yeah, everybody's wearing Kevlar. You know, that'd be hilarious.
That's the funny thing about Kevlar is Kevlar doesn't stop knives.
Right.
No, but it's gonna help.
For those of you, Kevlar is bulletproof, but the irony is they won't stop a blade. they're not.
Well,
knives.
To kind of give a tease to something we're going to talk about later. You know, everybody talks about, oh, Stu couldn't be alive. He had a TV fall in his face. Really? You just saw a guy get stabbed in the chest 1,500 times, and he's sitting up on a gurney getting rolled away. But you really can't tell me this is in this world. If these are the rules that how we operate under, he can't be alive, but he is okay. You don't make it.
See, that's why I was really hopeful when they're like, "Hey, look, that's the TV that killed Stu Macher," and they're like, "If you believe that," I'm like, "Oh, is he gonna come around a corner?" I'm like, please tell me he is.
Even Mindy brought up how you really don't know if Stu's alive or dead in this film. They haven't confirmed or denied anything. I'm telling you, like I said, once we get to it, I have my theories, but
I'm waiting.
The kills in this film were, oh my God, it was, I mean, I watched one reviewer, I forget who it was, but they called it like jackknife stabbing is what Ghostface does in this movie to the people that he goes against. And I thought it was really good. I mean, it was brutal.
He's like seppukuing people now. He's like stabbing their gut and like, like up. I'm like, Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
God damn. Well,
he's going to death. But
I would say that and when she put that knife like in the dude's fucking like mouth and just like turned
and then twisted it. Oh my God, yes.
Whew. I mean, and when he came out,
good stuff.
Yeah, when he popped in again at the end, I'm like, oh, that wouldn't kill you. That would suck, but that wouldn't kill you. Like, as cool as that was, but I thought you were gonna say something. I had like a hot fuzz. I'm like, you didn't say something cool like suck on this and then
you can't forget Ghostface with a shotgun either, and that's that scene in the bodega.
No,
that was tense. I mean, for as much as they showed in the previews, watching that had some tension to it. I was like, I like this. This is cool. I like
that was really my only problem with that was I was like, you're going to tell me that this little sawn-off pistol grip shotgun that is this big has like 10 rounds in it? Fuck you. No, it does not. It has 4, maybe. I know this is a horror movie, but like that thing had 4 shots.
Really long hunting shotguns. Tex back me up on this. I think they only have like 10.
They have 10.
Those were the really long.
I've got full-size guns that I think the most I have will hold 12, but it's a long
Yeah, like, those are like 3-gun
gun.
competition shotguns out of the long tube. This thing is about this damn big because you got to hide it under.
That pistol grip probably holds 3 to 5 at most.
So he put the video game cheats on. Is what he fucking did. I guess.
That's movies, man. That 6-shot revolver's got 37 rounds in it, man. Every time.
Right.
Not a problem.
If you could just buy one movie gun, you never have to buy another one. It never runs out of ammo.
Yeah,
right.
True.
So.
But yeah, I thought the deaths were fantastic. They were very well done. That was something that they were bragging about prior to the movie even coming out. They were just like, you're going to get some very brutal kills in this. Like everybody that dies, it's going to be vicious. And even the people that ended up not dying, they were not treated very well at all. Once that knife gets you, it gets you. And they were taking no prisoners in this movie about the kills. But now let's move on to the killers. I got to be honest, I was telling him because I got a chance to actually go watch this with Rachel and Jeremy, and on the way out I was just like, I got to be honest, I just didn't care who the killers were. I like early in the movie I started my usual thing of like, okay, what are they really giving me? And then after a while I was like, I just don't care. And I think part of it is that this franchise in particular, very specifically, has conditioned you to think that everybody can be the killer, so that when the killer is finally revealed, you're like, I don't really care. You've been telling me for not just the course of this movie over a couple of hours, but since this first franchise came out,
like 20-some years ago,
that everybody could be the killer. Everybody's a suspect. So it kind of deflates it a little bit when I find out who the killer is. I mean, aside from not liking how the killer is connected to this going that far back, it's just like I wasn't blown away by it. I mean, I was a little surprised at the dad being one of the killers, and I certainly was a little surprised when Quinn meets her fate, and then eventually you find out that she's one of the killers. I was like, that was a bit of a surprise, but in the end, I was like, I didn't care. I honestly feel like it would be better for this franchise had the killer almost just gets away with it at the end of every movie and just goes on and on and on through however many films they want to make, and then at the very last one where you're making this movie to be the end of the franchise, you get the big reveal. I feel like it would almost be better then, because I just don't care. I'm not impressed by the killers anymore. I mean, I'll go to you first, 10 September. Did it matter to you? I mean,
no, I mean. I was, like I said earlier, I was like, oh, this is interesting. I was like, I had like a slight guess that it was that other Ethan guy, but it also could have just been coincidence. I wasn't expecting the police officer to be involved with it. That threw me off. But again, the motivation was just seriously lacking to me. It just did not make sense. I mean, why go through? I mean, that's a lot of trouble you went through for your crazy son. A lot. I don't know. I feel like there could have been a better motivation for, some sort of real hatred or real reason. I don't know. It didn't feel, I don't know. It wasn't satisfying. It wasn't interesting.
Yeah, the killers have always been kind of one of the weaker parts of this entire franchise for me. I don't know, Jeremy, what do you think about the killers?
Yeah, like I said, Ethan, I was like immediately as soon as I saw him when he just shows up late, I'm like, yeah, you're the killer. Like, I'm not even gonna question it. I'm gonna file that away in the back of my head. Like I said, the dad, I was kind of like, when I heard him on the phone talking to them, I was like, wait, that sounds like Ghostface. That's really weird. So I thought maybe him, but I was like, I don't know how. I'm like, I'm sure the movie will tell me in some convoluted way at the end, which it did. But yeah, but see, now this other layer, this other facet to this series now is, even if you, I guess, allegedly see someone die, even then they still could be the killer, as is the case with Quinn. I was like, oh, she died. Well, damn, it couldn't have been her. And you're like, nope, it really wasn't. I'm like, oh. Well, that's a surprise. Okay, well, if we're gonna do that, and it's again, this is like my problem I've had with Shyamalan. I'm like, I can't keep trusting you at all. So now I just don't trust or care for the entire movie, because the last 2 minutes you're just gonna be like, yeah, it was this all along, and then they go into a really convoluted, over a little bit mildly overacted. Like, yeah, it was totally not this. It's because, yeah, my son who was totally not crazy. I'm like, Okay, well,
yeah,
that's
it was, but okay.
Fun family activity time. Right.
Runs in the family, clearly.
Yeah, what you keep saying about Sam, you're like, oh, your dad was a killer. I'm like, yeah, well, your fucking son was psychopathic. So what are you saying about yourself there, Dad?
Yeah, your son was also a killer. Like, what is this?
Pot meet the kettle. Like, Jesus.
Yeah.
And I thought they tried to, I mean, they even tried to turn you on Hayden Panettiere there for a hot second. I thought, oh crap, that would suck. They're like, oh yeah, she's not even with the FBI. She's been off the rails the last couple months. I'm like, oh shit, wait a minute, no, please, not Kirby. And yeah, then you kind of had them button heads there for a second with her and the dad who was the cop. Oh, that'd be wild. And you're talking about you're talking about the legacy characters. That's where, I mean, I know we discussed Stu. We're like, it'd be better if he was in the next movie. I'm like, maybe, but that would also be the hilarious thing that we're talking about legacy characters. And then that's when Stu pops up. It's like, oh, it wasn't Kirby, but it was him. And then there's your button heads of there's your OG, and then the family murder squad. You know, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. What do you think, Tex? The killers, good, bad? What do you think?
Ugly.
I appreciate it. I like the motivation. The who is not really as important to me as the why and the how. And I'll tell you exactly why. What this movie does, this movie literally, it takes every other killer. Literally, every time Ghostface kills somebody in this film, he's using one of the other killer's masks, leaves it behind, intentionally going up to the last one where Detective Bailey, Quinn, and Ethan are standing there with Sam and Kirby and all of them. And he throws Billy Loomis's mask to Sam and says, put it on. And he's about to kill her. I like the motivation. Going forward with Scream films, if they never do another callback or Easter egg, they don't have to, because this movie took care of all of it. Literally, 5 previous films were all wrapped up with the callbacks, the Easter eggs, the history, and the lore. I mean, that whole shrine scene that the killers built was beautiful. I would love for like Halloween Horror Nights or some horror group to put like a replica of that together, where you could go visit and have like right there, see all the robes on the stage. Mm-hmm. And, you know, oh, well, this is, you know, Kirby's shirt she got stabbed in. Here's a stab, you know, Scream, a stab film roll from their first movie. You know, all of the relics from the movies of the past.
Here's Flash Thompson.
Yeah, you know, here's Flash Thompson, you know, laying bloody on the floor or whatever. It'd be great, you know, whatever. But the killers in this film, like, I like the motivation. This was, they tied in callbacks to previous films while looping it all back to Richie. Richie was a good killer. I mean, go back and watch. Oh, I've never seen a stab movie before. Then you see him marathoning them as Tara's in the hospital eating popcorn and pizza or whatever he was doing. I liked the motivation. I thought it was good. It was creative because, like I said, we're 6 movies into a franchise here of a singular timeline. This isn't Halloween or Friday where they've you know, restarted, or this didn't happen. Oh, it's this version of Michael. You know, oh, blah blah blah, whatever. This is a singular timeline where everything is connected besides the Scream TV show, which we don't talk about because that was garbage. But I liked what they did. I liked how they did it. Now, I mean, how funny was it to see, you know, Ethan, oh, I don't want to die as a virgin, and then he gets stabbed in the face, and then he gets his like eye popped out or something like that. I can't remember exactly, but I thought they were cool. I liked the Ghostface family idea, and I liked that this led to possible, like I said, Ghostface cult in 7 going forward, whatever it may be. Now, like I said, I'm of the fan base of, I love horror slasher franchises that get 15 sequels deep where they don't even make sense anymore, and everybody's like, yeah, I stopped watching that 8 movies ago. I'm the one that's still in line, you know, with my arms in the air because I'm excited. But, you know, I dug it. I like what they did, and I liked how they did.
So it's almost like Texas Chainsaw, the knife is family now.
Oh, if they don't have that carved into the blade in the next movie, I'm going to be disappointed.
They get like
That's a great idea.
Instead of like the really intricate like gold like chainsaw with that on it, like just a really
get like a cool
blade.
Gold handle with like like little sharp points coming off. Oh, that'd be so great.
Oh yeah, there you go.
I dig it. I like it.
That'd be pretty cool. Yeah, I wasn't even blown away by the why. I mean,
really? I thought they went pretty deep on the why. I thought that's where they went pretty hardcore.
They went deep. It just wasn't impressive. They went deep. It just wasn't impressive.
I get it. I get it.
Because is it really that much different than was it Scream 3 when they're in college about filming the movie?
No. Scream 2, they're in college. Scream 3 is on the movie set.
Just maybe it was Scream 3, but the one where the one that Lance Henriksen was in.
3.
I think it was 3. But it's like, yeah, so Sidney Prescott's mom had an illegitimate son. I was like,
okay.
I was like, some of these things don't really matter if there's no buildup. They're not really that impressive. It seems like in all these movies, it's like you're just introducing a new person who's got some obscure connection to Sydney, to whatever, to it's like I don't want an obscure connection. I want somebody who's really connected who has a real reason to want to cut her head off. I don't want an obscure connection. That doesn't because it's like you understand why Freddy wants to kill these kids in the first Nightmare movie because their parents killed him.
Yeah.
So it's like you understand Freddy's motivation. You understand Michael's motivation. It's like this guy, it's like, you killed my son who was fucking insane, and it didn't really matter until the last movie. None of these characters mattered until the last movie anyway. It's like I'm not really invested in this enough at this point, especially with these new characters that are taking over the franchise, to really care.
Maybe we'll have like a Kylo Ren situation where like later down the line we're gonna find out that like Dewey and Gale had some fucking kid and like we never heard about him and now he's gonna start killing people.
That would be so silly though.
If I could get Force Ghost Dewey, that would be incredible. How can we make that?
Why not?
Loomis can come back. Billy can come back. Give me Force Ghost Dewey. I mean, let's go. Let's try.
As much as I bitch about the Fast and the Furious movies, they're making money because the people who are like Fast and Furious sycophants, they're going back for the family. They're going back to see Vin Diesel and his very human self pulling down these cement pillars like he was Samson. It's like they're going back for this flying a Fiero into fucking space. I mean, they keep going back because the shit is like it's candy. It's empty calories and sugar. We keep going back for this shit. So that's why it's going to keep working because there is that very large fan base. And once again, you said it, Tex, these movies don't cost a lot to make. These movies don't need to make $1 billion to make them profitable. You're not spending $250 million on these like you are a Marvel or a DC movie. You're making this thing for what was the budget of this film? Let me go look real quick. The budget of this film was $33 to $35 million. That means
most of these movies make more than they cost to make an opening weekend.
Yeah.
That's why slashers get made.
And it's already made 80.4 according to, I think Box Office Mojo has got it at 80.4 something.
Yeah.
80.411. So they made about $80.5 million on a budget of 34. Let's call it $34 million. That's not, I mean, that's awesome. And the marketing wasn't all that expensive, so they've got to be in the profit already after opening weekend. So at this point, it's all just icing on the cake. So yeah, they're going to keep making them. They're going to keep making them cheap. There's this really, and horror more than any other genre, they have these people who are just absolute freaks for a franchise. I mean, Saw is one of them. Too. This one for sure. Lots of others. I mean, I love Texas Chainsaw Massacre. So
like I'll keep watching Texas Chainsaw. Like I mean, I guess you're right. I can't say that I'm not going to keep watching the movies. So yeah, there is a large fan base out there. As long as you keep the budget under control, these movies are always going to be profitable. So why not keep making them, even if they are just making a profiting 30 or 40 million a movie? That's 30 or 40 million bucks. That's not a bad deal. I wish I made one movie that bombed to the tune of $30 million of profit. You know what I mean? Well, but like I said, I mean, Killer's again the weak spot. I'm kind of hoping they figure out some way to do it. I don't have a great idea as to how I'd do it differently. I mean, the way I would put a movie together is a lot different than the way that other people might put a movie together. But I don't know. It's kind of underwhelming for what this is. I kind of want to see just. I mean, they've even brought in kind of the totally new characters. I mean, because if you think about it, the two killers from the last movie weren't really connected to anything. They were just fans of
Stab and the Legend of Woodsboro. So I guess they have kind of gone that route, and they didn't really impress me either, to be honest. But,
in Scream 5, Richie and Amber, which spoiler for the killers, their motivation was the Stab movies, which are the fake movies about the real Woodsboro killings in the films. For the non-initiated, they had gotten off track, and they did the whole time travel thing in the Stab movies, and they wanted to create new murders, so they would make films that were based again, somewhat realistic. So that's what their motivation was, which they built off this one with that one, because it's, like Ghostface even says, who gives a fuck about the movies? I mean, that's a direct line from Ghostface. So they're going away from that in this, which this is like I said earlier, this is the true crime trilogy of Scream, and I think it's why it works. And is it kind of played out? Sure, but let's be honest, what franchise isn't these days? I mean, whether it's Marvel, DC, any horror franchise, Fast and Furious, it's all about franchises these days. Nothing new gets made, or you never hear about it until it's 3 sequels deep. So it's the world we live in.
True. But there were two that were absent in this. I didn't have the one. Let me try to find the ones I just. Two people that were not in this franchise, or in this film anyway, that a lot of people thought would be. And one of them, everybody was swearing up and down, Stu's going to be the killer in this movie. Oh, it's going to be Stu. Stu Macher.
Oh, he was in there.
Well, you think he was. That has not been confirmed, and it may be bullshit. To me, I really like the way that they employed Billy in the last movie. You can't really have him in there because he very clearly died, but to have him kind of be the inner monologue of the illegitimate daughter. Is she the killer? Is she really broken? That was kind of a fun thing to me, and I really liked the way they incorporated him in, like her hearing his voice and seeing his face in the reflection in the mirror, which I thought was a really cool metaphor. But I really like the way they did it. So to me, just jumping in to bring back Stu in the next movie seems a little hammy. I was like, I don't know if I want you to do that right now. You gotta find a way to work him in. You can't just say he's somebody's hearing his voice in the head is like this inner monologue. I don't know. I feel like it would have that now isn't the right time. So I'm glad he wasn't in this movie. Now, if he's in the next movie, I'm going to be kind of happy to see him, depending on how they do it. But I didn't want him in this movie after reintroducing Billy in the last movie. I don't know, Tim Sumpton, what did you think? Did you want to see Stu? Did you not want to see Stu? Do you think there's a way to bring him back that makes sense? Do you want him to come back at all? What do you think?
I'd like to see him back just because I think that would be a fun thing to see how they would even do that or what they would do with it, whether he's going to be sorry about my dog.
Hey, did we ask your opinion?
The dog's the next victim.
He's just chiming in.
That's going to turn into John Wick if this dog turns into a victim, damn it.
Or she's trying to warn you there's a killer outside the door.
Well,
it's very true. She could be doing that.
It's going to be a Gale Weathers. That gun comes out immediately. I'm not fucking with you.
If y'all hear the phone ring, just start running. Don't even answer it. Just go.
Well, there's a couple things. If I pick up the phone and they say, "What's your favorite scary movie?" That's one thing. But if they say 7 days, I'm like, "Ah, shit, different movie."
Yeah.
I'm turning the TV off because some bitch is gonna come crawling out of the TV. I think she's upset because your door's shut.
My door is not shut. She's in here.
Well, she thinks it's shut. She's barking at me. There she goes. There's a dog. I was gonna say maybe Stu Macher's a little too busy killing kids in the Freddy Fazbear's Pizzeria right now, so he's got some time.
Yeah, I do think Stu was in this movie. I think Stu was in Scream 5, and I'll tell you why. And this is, as Frank said, this is not confirmed. I have no evidence of this, but go back to Scream 5. When Dewey gets killed, R.I.P., he shouldn't have died. But when Dewey gets killed, look at the killer that's in that scene. That killer is different from every other kill in Scream 5. The way he acts, the way he kills, he does everything differently. I've analyzed this movie. Scream 6, Gail's apartment scene. Gail finally gets her Ghostface call. She's never gotten one before until this film. Look at how Ghostface was in that movie. You're telling me, because at that point in time, Quinn would have been Ghostface. Does that look like Quinn standing right there? Does not. And now, yes, I know you can say, oh, well, Jill in Scream 4 wasn't that big, but she blah, blah, blah. I understand that. I get it.
Them but I'm telling probably got some big heels on them, so.
I'm telling you, that the way that Ghostface handled Gail in that phone call, that was not Quinn. That was not Ethan. That was not even Detective Bailey. That was Stu Macher right there.
This is about to be the Saw thing. Where it's like, oh, fucking Carrie Yule's character was there the whole time. Like,
let's go back to the original Scream trilogy. How many killers were there in Scream 3? There was only one, Roman. Now, there was supposed to be two. The girl that was going to play Sydney was also a killer, but they wrote that out. And we find out in Scream 3 that Roman was behind all of the other killings in the first two films.
Right.
They're so far within the new trilogy, 5 and 6, they have modeled both movies after the first two. What makes you think they're not going to model Scream 7 after Scream 3? I'm telling you right now, Ghostface killed Dewey, or obviously Ghostface killed Dewey.
Yes.
Stu Macher as Ghostface killed Dewey. He tried to kill Gail. Now obviously they'll have to retroactively plan it to where he didn't plan for Sydney to not show up or whatever. So that's his motivation in 7 to pop up. I'm predicting in Scream 7, you'll have one individual killer. It'll be Stu Macher. And I don't know how they reveal it, but I think there will be one Ghostface to model after what Scream 3 was.
Is it going to turn into Halloween where it's instead of Laurie versus Michael, it's Sydney versus Stu? Comes down to that.
Well, of course. I mean, like I said,
that would bring everything back around.
It would. That's how it ends. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Well, this is why I love slashers. Are they simple? Yes, but when they're good, they deliver. They're just tasty, and everybody wants. Okay, think about it in Marvel terms here. How many years were people clamoring? We want John Krasinski as Mr. Fantastic. Put him in a movie. Cast him. What did they finally do? Sometimes you have to give the people what they want. Sometimes you just have to give the masses what they demand. Look at this. Even now, every time something happens in Scream and it's not Stu, the passion gets even harder. Look at the whole Snyderverse movement. That's still going on. Stu will be back in this franchise, and I'm calling it 7. He will be your soul killer in that movie, and somehow he will have been behind radicalizing. Somehow they'll tie it all in together. Stu will be in there somehow.
Well, do you think that Stu was running the show in Scream 5 then? Like he was actually running the killers.
Yes, just like Roman from Scream 3, you know, how he was pulling the strings on Billy and Stu and everybody else. I think because Stu Macher was Billy's number 2. Billy was the brains of that operation in Scream 1. He learned from Billy. I think his obsession with Sam, I think this whole trashing Sam's character into this film, I think that was his plan. I think he gave that to Quinn.
That was something I was about to ask you. Do you think he was behind the smear campaign as part of his master plan?
This is why I say this opens up into that Ghostface cult idea. Because let's not forget, Stu's family was well off, you know, and we've already seen, hey, you can get stabbed 100,000 times and live in this franchise, right? So their family was well off. Detective Bailey, if a New York City detective can just fake his daughter's death and just slide a new body in there, you telling me Stu's rich family couldn't make that happen? And, you know, just fudge the paperwork and pay off some sleazy cop to, here's Stu Macher, he died, blah, blah, blah. He's not in jail. He's been in hiding the whole time here. He's pulled the strings. He had the idea to, you know, massacre Sam's character, her whole whatever, trying to push her off the cliff. Maybe he's in love with her because it is Billy's daughter, and that's the last connection to Billy. Maybe he's, however they want to do their connection, you can play with that in the writing. But I'm telling you, Stu's behind all of this. I smell it, and I'm calling it now. So I hope so.
I don't know. It's interesting. Like I said, I don't have a problem with Stu coming back now, but I think it needs to be handled the right way, because if you make it too campy and too silly, you're going to kind of ruin the effect. I
was just muted. I'm sorry. I was like, maybe Stu Macher's been hiding in the sewer for the last 20 years, just like Michael Myers.
I think he's going to pop up when you just put Gail's apartment scene from this movie. Like I said, go back and replay what he said in your mind. Quinn, Ethan, or Detective Bailey wouldn't have spoken to her like that or known the personal stuff that he did.
I disagree, because she's a public figure. Everybody knows that her connection to
she wrote the book,
the Woodsboro stuff going all the way back to the TV, because she's written books. She's been all over TV. So a lot of people could watch this that were outsiders to the original stuff in Woodsboro from the first film and kind of make this deduction that she had always wanted to be a bigger part of these things, but Sydney was always the focus.
And something else that was kind of subtle is like they kept talking about or they kept showing too, like there's Ghostface people all over the city. I'm like, that would be the best way to hide it too. Like there could just be people who are just dicking around, just wearing the Ghostface mask because they're dicks. Even the news lady's like, have you got your mask? I've got mine. I'm like, that's a good way to get shot, but okay.
Right.
But still, it's like that. They did kind of play heavily into that, and maybe that is for the suspense of, which one of them is it on the subway? You know, which one's going to come up and gut you like a fish? But even though, like you said, now it doesn't even matter anymore. No one dies in a Scream movie.
Well, I feel like I said, I feel like there's going to be, like I said, initially I thought, okay, they'll do a trilogy and they'll get out like most horror does or whatever, right? But this Scream series is only getting better. You know, I wasn't the biggest fan of Scream 5. That's actually my lowest ranked Scream film out of all of them. But with Tara right there, I think about it. When it comes to this franchise, they're all about subverting the tropes and the expectations. You know, for 2 movies, we have built up that Sam is going to snap. She's the daughter of a serial killer and the granddaughter of a killer, blah, 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 whatever. Sam, through everything that she's done and been through in these films, she seems to have it together. But what was Tara's last line that she says in this film? She finally admits that she's not okay. Tara's not handling this as well as even Sam is. Much like with the beginning of this film, how we saw our first time Ghostface reveal in the opening scene, I think Scream 7, I think we see Tara snap. I think Jenna Ortega finally gives in because, like I said, she just admitted she's not okay. They've already proven from Scream 5 to 6, Radio Silence, the team of directors that has made these films, they carry on their continuity very well. I think Jenna Ortega goes bad at 7. I think we finally get a final girl that, you know, loses it, whether it's, you know, like how Rob Zombie had with his version of Laurie Strode in Halloween or whatever. I mean, people wanted to see Sydney go bad and be a killer. I think we see Tara go bad. I really and truly do, because it's subverting the expectations. It's playing with the tropes. It's the red herring of it. It's everything else. And I think Stu coming back, pushing all of this, maybe he manipulates Sam somehow to play with. I don't know how they do it, but I think it happens. I got a feeling, and I would love to see it because I think it would be really cool.
We're 6 movies in. I don't know how they do any of this shit anymore, to be honest.
But
I don't know.
I don't know. Has it ever been done in a horror franchise that the good guy or the final girl has ever kind of like done the full heel flip?
I was about to ask that. Yeah,
I'm trying to think.
I can't think of one. I can't.
Well, wait. Maybe Alexander Daddario. Didn't she kind of just accept? Oh yeah, my family's a bunch of killers. There you go.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, in Chainsaw 3D, she reads newspaper clippings. Oh, I'm a Sawyer, so I'm going to be crazy now for no reason. Even though she's good looking enough to get away with it, but it is what it is.
She's good looking enough to be apparently like over 40 years old. I'm like, bullshit. No, she's not.
Hey, Alexandra Daddario, God bless that one. I don't care what he did.
There was a lot of tape and a lot of prayer holding that shirt up. I'm just saying that.
Oh, God, I've never prayed so hard for wind to blow in that scene. My God.
Texas breeze comes rolling through, and I'm like,
just go watch True Detective season 1. You get to see everything.
Yeah, I know.
But no, to answer Frank, besides Alexandra Daddario and Chainsaw 3D, I can't think of a final girl that's ever that's ever cracked under the pressure and turned. And you know,
wait a minute. What about Amanda and Saw? Would that technically be because she was kind of like? Well,
she was never a final girl though. She went from druggie to accomplice. She was never.
She was the only one who survived though, right? So she kind of
beat the Saw game, but she willingly accepted. Once Amanda survives the reverse bear trap, that's whenever Jigsaw starts in on her. And then, of course, you know, the events of Saw 2 with the poison gas house and everything else.
Well, that one kind of seems like a final girl because you're like, oh, that's Amanda. She's in this again, and she's the one who made it.
Yeah, but she was playing as a final girl, but she was always a villain. I mean, by the end of Saw 2, she's the one that slams the door and says, game over.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So
you stole that from Texas Chainsaw, you fuckers. I know what you did.
I don't think Amanda counts as a final. I've never considered her a final girl.
I guess.
I love Shawnee.
Okay.
I love Shawnee Smith as Amanda, and I'm glad that she's coming back for Saw X this year. But she's not a final girl.
The Descent, the main girl. I mean, she turned on her friend and fucking killed her in the cave and left her there.
That's true.
Yeah, but the girl she was already kind of a bad character to begin with. I mean, you could see the selfishness.
Not the main girl. I mean, not the one who was sleeping with her husband behind her back. I mean, the main girl who went in that cave, her best friend was like, you know, she was the only one who survived.
Oh, I'm thinking somebody's
you know what I'm saying? And then she realized, oh, my friend was the one. And then she had that moment where she's like, oh, did you see her die? And she's like, yeah. And she knows she didn't. It's like, oh, I get it now. And
I don't know what you're talking. Maybe.
Maybe.
Yeah. Possibly, maybe, but we've never seen in the slasher genre. Like I said, the closest we ever got was Alexandra Daddario or Scott Taylor Compton in Rob Zombie's Halloween 2, where she finds out that she's the sister of Michael Myers, and she goes bad for, you know, the second half of the movie or whatever.
Maybe not even High Tension. Because like she was.
No, I wouldn't even consider that. But like I said, I think we see Jenna Ortega snap at 7 because the cracks are forming. Obviously, I mean, we Sam is obviously mentally not okay. You know, she sees her dead father still in the bloody clothes throughout the film or throughout both films, and you know she's going to therapists saying, "Yeah, I liked stabbing this dude 1,500 times. It felt right. It felt good." I think they're subverting us here, and maybe we see Jenna Ortega snap and kill Sam. I mean, maybe Tara kills Sam. I don't know how it happens. It depends how the writers want to go with it, but I could see something like that happening.
Maybe that seems like a bit of a stretch to me.
Oh, I'm not saying
I feel like Sam's kind of on her own road to redemption because it feels like because she's been broken from the moment we saw her on camera for the first time.
Right.
You know, early in the last film, talking to what's his name from the boys, she's already broken.
Oh, Richie.
Yeah. Talking to Richie, she knows there's something wrong with her. She finds out. Obviously, she knows about her lineage at one point, and she's dealing with. And one of the things that's happening to her character, her arc over the course of these last 2 films, over 5 and 6, is that she's dealing with it. And where you leave her at the end of this movie, you feel like she's in a better place. Now, Jenna Ortega's character is one thing. She's finally
that's what I'm talking about.
Broken, so she's just now starting that part of the journey. But the Sam character has already spent 2 movies walking this path, and at the end of it, you feel like she's kind of gotten through the worst part of it, and now she's kind of in the home stretch of getting better. So to have her make that heel turn at this point, it wouldn't really.
No. I'm talking about Jenna Ortega, Tara. Making the heel turn, not Sam. Melissa Barrera, Sam, I think I agree with you. I think she's through the weeds, through the worst part of it. Tara, the little sister, that's the one I think is going to crack. Because when you go back and at multiple times and see her in this film, she's kind of getting a dead look in her eyes. When, like I said, the last line of this movie that she says, she finally, when Jenna Ortega admits to Melissa Barrera, Sam, she said, "I'm not okay." I think we finally see a final girl go bad. And Sam, who started out this out as the daughter of a serial killer, she takes our Sydney role, because after this film, Melissa Barrera, Sam's role, is on Sydney level for me. We don't need Sydney anymore. I know we're going to talk about that in a minute, but Melissa Barrera has ascended to that point for me. I have no issues with it whatsoever.
You can't tell me that shot too that Frank had up when she was holding on to her on the balcony. It's like that's
right.
That's just her face. That's just the Wednesday Addams deadpan stare she always has.
Yeah.
So
I think there's more to
that
that
face right there. And she has that little like smirk. Look at her. Yeah, like I don't know.
I think there's more to that. I think the tension is getting the Jenna Ortega's Tara, and with Stu masterminding all of this, somehow it's going to be played out like Sam's going to crack, and then at some point in the film, maybe we see Stu standing there with Sam and Tara, and out of nowhere, kind of a la Scream 4 opening, where the one friend just stabs the other, we see Tara stab Sam. She goes bad or something. I mean, let's not forget, they opened this film by showing us a Ghostface. We know that Radio Silence is willing to break tropes and ideology of slasher films and play with it. What's better than taking your innocent little final girl, manipulated by the big bad Stu for all this time, and cause her to go back? I think that'd be tremendous.
Yeah, but what you're saying is that she would have had to have been manipulated by Stu this whole time.
Well, you don't think 2 films of being killed or trying to be killed by multiple people, all of the stress and the relief, her sister Sam went through therapy, she's dealing with it, but Tara internalized it, and she finally admits that I'm not okay. We go into a story where Stu is the villain, and you even put more pressure and tension on that crack, and then that pipe doesn't burst. I could write a story where that happens, and it's not much of a stretch, I don't think.
I don't think it's entirely a stretch, but but just her admitting that she's not okay is not necessarily her descending in the darkness. For a lot of people, that's kind of the point where they start to get out of the darkness into the light.
I get that.
And on top of that, she finally got a chance, and her love interest, despite being stabbed 187,000 times in each lung, somehow managed
Core 4.
Core 4. Somehow managed to make it through this thing. So now
power of friendship and family.
So now she's got her love interest, and so she's fought off the killer once again. She's got her love interest. She's finally gotten through that part where she finally got through the denial part of dealing with everything she's dealt with over the course of the last couple of films. I feel like that's probably the place where you would start to see her grow in a positive way and not descend into madness. Narratively, that makes a lot more sense for her character.
I get that, but given the fact that Radio Silence doesn't follow the rules of slasher horror, they like to play with it. They're giving you Ghostface. Oh, here's a Ghostface killing another Ghostface. Oh, well, and there's a Ghostface with its head lopped off in the refrigerator like it's Jason's mama. They're willing to go there with this thing, and I just got a feeling that this is a trigger that they would be willing to pull, and I could see it happening. I mean,
I can see it happening too. It'd be a hard sell, but I can see it happening too.
Oh, I'm not saying this isn't a hard pitch, and and I'm talking about a lot here. But if it's going to happen, it's going to happen with these Radio Silence dudes, and I think it'd be
just like the Ghostface said. Who gives a fuck about the movie?
Who cares? That's what I'm saying.
That was a good line.
I mean, anybody who's ever watched a trilogy knows the third one always ties back to the original. I mean, go listen to Randy in Scream 3. Listen to what he says. And, Tara is our Nif Campbell. She's our Sidney Prescott. I think we get Stu back. I think he's manipulated this whole thing. And I think it causes Tara to snap. I really do.
Just as a joke, he should have a purple Ghostface mask for Freddy Fazbear. A little purple there, Stu. You feel a little woozy?
That's
real woozy, man.
I love Matthew Lillard. Everything I've seen him in, he's been good. I mean, Hackers, great movie. Yeah. I even like him as Shaggy. He's the perfect live action Shaggy.
Matthew Lillard is a fucking treasure. I love that man.
But you know what though? It does make sense that he might be in the next movie because hopefully we're gonna get our big main girl for the franchise back. Now look, we talked about it a while back why Nif Campbell didn't come back. There was some contractual stuff, some money issues. She felt like she wasn't gonna get paid enough. I don't know how much she was expecting to get paid for a movie that was budgeted between 33 and 35 million. I don't know what she was asking for, but you know, one of the things that I thought about Creed 3 specifically, I said this in my short review, is the way that movie was paced. We didn't really have time to notice that the Rocky Balboa character, played by Sylvester Stallone, wasn't there. They dropped his name a couple of times. They don't really explain why he's not there. He's still significant, but the way the movie was paced and put together, you don't really have time to miss him. That was one of the things I thought was also true about this movie. The way that it was put together, there wasn't really time to notice that Sidney Prescott wasn't in the picture. You have that one little line of dialogue explaining why she's not there, and that's pretty much it. She's taken her family and gone to a safe place.
We don't need her to be here. We've had enough of her already.
Yeah, but and granted, she doesn't really have a connection to anything that happens in this movie because she's not connected to the killers. The killers are all after Jenna Ortega.
Yeah, because like that would be the way for her to come back. What would be the only way is if Stu came back.
But the other thing is that she is connected to the Ghostface killer, kind of as a whole. I get that. I'm not going to argue why she didn't want to do the movie. I mean, we all put a value on our work, and she put a value on hers, and the producers didn't want to meet. I don't fault her for that at all. And yes, she kind of is the driving force behind this franchise by and large. But so is Ghostface. As long as you have Ghostface, you've got a puncher's chance of making a good movie. But this, much like Creed 3, the way this movie was paced, the way it was put together, it didn't give you time to notice that Sidney wasn't around. So they hit you with that one little line of dialogue. She's got her friends. She's taking her husband and kids, and she's taking off. She doesn't want to be part of this. I get it. It did still seem to me odd, though, that she is connected to the entity that is the Ghostface killer. So it was weird to me that Sidney wouldn't have run right to New York, especially when you consider, I think in the last movie, isn't she jogging in New York when we first see her? It's like, so it's happening in her backyard. Now, granted, it says that she bailed and went to a secure location with her family, but I was like, it's happening in her backyard. She's got a connection to Ghostface, whoever the killer might be. We never know that till the end of the movie anyway. And it's like, this is really kind of all her thing to begin with. I would rather have seen her here, but the movie worked very well without her, the way they put it together, the way they paced it, I thought. I don't know. Jeremy, what do you think? Did you miss Sidney? Did you not miss Sidney? You're muted, Jack.
You're muted.
You're still muted, Jack.
I know that! Fuck's sake. I meant to send you guys something later. That's definitely a reminder for me. There's a reason why I say that so many times. I already showed her. I said I'm always gonna miss Sidney, obviously, but it's not like we need her to be around. Like you said, there's not really as much of. I mean, I know I'm about to say the most ironic thing, that there's not much of a connection, but I mean there kind of is. It's like, well, that's kind of the plot for any of these killers is like, yeah, there's kind of a connection, but not really, kind of. But yeah, one line of dialogue where she's like, no, I'm gonna go take my husband and kids and go somewhere safe. I'm like, okay, sure, whatever. It doesn't really bother me because I'm like, cool, she's safe and she knows what she's doing. You know, she's the one that capped him in the head. It's like, yep, this is the part where they come back for one more kill. Boom, not in my movie. I'm like, right, she knows what she's doing. But like I said, the only reason I could see her having to come back is that would be the one big thing is, I mean, I don't, because now Frank's even got me more paranoid where it's like one little thing pointed out to me is like, yeah, that Stevie killed Stu, but did it? I'm like, now why'd you say that? Whatever bone you were going to throw me that like there's a chance. I feel like dude from Dumb and Dumber. You're telling me there's a chance?
Right.
So I don't know why you would say that other than just, I don't know, maybe tease the fact that he's still out there. So that would be the big culmination of, you know, that's a Laurie versus Michael thing right there. That'd be the two of them coming to blows in the end. So
Yeah, I don't know, Rachel. What do you think? I mean, I was a bit apprehensive moving forward without Sydney, but this movie made it work very, very well without her. Made it very believable. Did you miss her? Do you think it needed her, or were you okay with it all?
I didn't miss her. I didn't think it was really needed. I mean, the plot moved itself along fine without her. The plot didn't really have much to do with her, weirdly enough. It moved along fine without her, in my opinion. I mean, having her back in later movies is probably a good idea to when eventually, if it decides to wrap itself up, she should probably be at some point within that wrap up, but I don't think she was really needed here.
I don't know. What do you think, Tex? We talked a lot about the contractual stuff leading up to the film's production release. Again, I think the way the movie was paced and put together, it didn't give you time to miss her. Did you miss her, or do you hope she comes back for future installments?
Well, I'm never gonna not want Sidney Prescott in a Scream film, but she was not. She wasn't missed in this movie for me. When it comes to the legacy characters, obviously you've got Gail, but we've got Kirby back. We've got Hayden Panettiere back. She more than filled the role that Sidney would have took, and was more important to this story. This Scream film was not about the Ghostface in Woodsboro. This was about many Ghostfaces across New York, and unless they're calling out Sidney Prescott themselves, she's not needed here. It's Halloween 4 is one of my favorite Halloween movies of all time. There's no Jamie Lee Curtis. She's dead, and at that point in the timeline, she's dead because there was a contractual thing where Jamie Lee didn't want to come back, so they killed her off, whatever. And then they named her daughter Jamie in homage. But Sydney was not missed for me. Like I said, I mean, Nif Campbell, she's not my favorite final girl, but she's definitely on the Mount Rushmore of final girls. But for the purposes of this story, she was not needed. You could have done this movie without Gail. She wasn't even integral to the plot. The only things that she did in this film was we got our traditional, scene where she writes a book and then she gets punched in the face by the new Sydney. When Tara punches her in the face, which I thought was kind of a funny scene.
Well, because she's like, I've done this before.
She dodges the first one and then she gets hit with the second one. I thought that was a funny scene.
Yeah.
But if you take out that scene, her apartment, she's not needed in this film. The only other thing that Gail does in this movie is, I did some research and here's a key card to a shrine thing that I found. Kirby did the same thing. Kirby could have done that. You didn't even need Gail. You didn't need Sydney. Obviously, you can't have Dewey because they killed him off in the last one. What Radio Silence has done here is they've opened the world up to where, just like the Blumhouse Halloween films, we don't need Laurie Strode. Michael can go after anybody until he can only go after Laurie in the third part of our story because we don't know how to tell it, one timeline here. But no, Sydney was not missed. I mean, I love Nif Campbell, from Wild Things to Scream, whatever it was. I will always be a fan of hers. But you weren't missed. I'm sorry. I mean, whether it was money or it was apparently she threw around the word sexist at one point in time. I don't know what all happened with it, but wasn't needed. Wasn't missed for me. I got the one line of dialogue. You took your family and your cop husband and you went into hiding. Gotcha. Good. We'll see you in 7.
Yeah, again, the movie didn't give you time to miss her the way it was all put together, which I think is a huge positive. However, the explanation for why she was there was stupid to me. It didn't work because of the last movie. Because she had no connection to the killers in the last movie. Like I said, the thing about this franchise is Ghostface is bigger than the killers.
Right.
It's like the presidency is bigger than the president. The presidency is important. The man is just a man. He gets replaced every 4 years or 8 years or whatever. It's the same thing with the killers in the franchise. It's a different person every movie. So Ghostface is bigger than who he is, and while she wasn't connected to the last killers in 5, she is connected to Ghostface. So I feel like wherever Ghostface pops up and starts hacking people up, that Sydney's got a big enough connection to this entity that is Ghostface, she should be there. Why she was there in the last movie? Because she very easily in the last movie could have said, nope, Billy's dead, Stu's dead as far as anybody knows. I'm all done. I'm out at Woodsboro. I'm writing books now. I'm doing whatever I'm doing. I live with my kids and my family and jogging around in Central Park, New York. I'm done. You guys can deal with knife wielding scientists now.
No, Sydney was in California, not in New York.
Wherever she was. She wasn't anywhere near there. She could have very easily checked out of that one in the last movie. Been like, nope, good luck, guys. I'm not going back to Woodsboro ever again. Done. I've had my fill. But she didn't. But somehow in this movie, they decided she needed to take her husband and kids and go to a safe location. I'm like, really? Now it would have made sense to me if, and who could blame her? I mean, I wouldn't, but it would have made sense to me if they'd have said, well, the FBI said that Sydney can't come down here. They're putting her in protective custody for now until we figure this thing out. That would have made a little more sense because it goes against what we already know Sydney to do in situations like this. Because like I said, in 5, she could have been like, no, I'm done. I'm taking my kids and my husband. I'm going to hide somewhere in a mountain somewhere where nobody's going to find me. But no. Gail calls her and she's like, I'm there. Do you got a gun? Of course I got a gun. I'm fucking Sidney Prescott, bitch. I'm going to go start laying all over Woodsboro now. And then she rolls right into the teeth in the mouth of the beast and just starts doing war with Ghostface. Not giving a shit who he is. Ghostface has got to go down. How that changed from that movie, from the last movie to this movie, that's not a good enough explanation for me. But like I said, the movie doesn't give you time to miss her. The pacing, the way things happen, the rest of this cast is doing a good job being the movie, being Core 4. They do a good job kind of carrying this movie on their own. You don't really have time to miss her. Like I said, same thing about Creed 3. You get a couple of name drops. It doesn't explain where Rocky is. You don't need to. He's still out there. You know he's out there. They didn't kill him, thank God. You can't have the guy die off screen. His spirit still impacts everything that's happening in the movie. And I think a lot of that's kind of the same thing here. I just didn't like the explanation. The explanation didn't work for me. Her not being in the movie worked fine for the movie, the way they put it together and the way they shot it all. But I wish it would have been a better explanation because it kind of goes against everything that we know Sydney to be. That was my problem. Because if Ghostface shows up with a knife and stabs somebody, she's already shown that she's the one who's gonna roll right up there and start throwing hands with Ghostface. She has been from the very beginning. The very beginning, of course, wasn't her intention, but like she's dealt with it all. She's dealt with it all for so many years now. She's not afraid of any of it now. Maybe she is, but she's not afraid to deal with it.
Like she said, not in my movie.
Yeah, and the fact that she's like, there's another Ghostface Manhattan. Oh, I'm checking out, kids. Bye. I'm gonna hide. It's against everything her character is.
One thing.
For why.
Well, was she really gonna go on like a mass murder spree of every Ghostface she saw? She's gonna kill 10 people in a fucking subway and just waltz right out of there? Like, yeah, I don't know. Maybe not.
One thing I hope they do in 7, if they bring back Nif Campbell, Sydney's role, they need to bring back. His name's Patrick Dempsey, the guy from Grey's Anatomy, the doctor dude.
Mm-hmm.
He's her.
No, the fourth one.
Scream 3. He was
his nickname.
He was the detective that Sydney ends up marrying and having children with in the Scream world. I want to see him back as well because that was one thing. In 5, I'm like, wait a minute. So you're living on the other side of the country, and there's some murders happening in your hometown, and your police husband just lets you run off, and he doesn't even go with you. Patrick Dempsey's a star. I mean, even Cora knows him as what did you say?
McDreamy.
McDreamy. That was his nickname on the show. Written into the show. Yeah.
Okay, well, I didn't know that.
And he was a terrible actor in the movie, something where he's a male bridesmaid.
Oh, Maid of Honor.
Yeah, that was a bad one.
I didn't see either of those. I haven't said testicles, but hey, it's all good. So, but we need Patrick Dempsey back. If they bring back Nif Campbell, they have to bring back Patrick Dempsey. If you're going to marry them up and let them have children, you need to bring them both back because if you're going to tell the story, tell the whole thing. So, hey, I had an idea for a post-credit scene because, I thought Nif Campbell was going to be in this movie. I was convinced that she was, and they were just hiding it and playing fast and loose with the press release nonsense, whatever. I thought we were going to get a post-credit scene of, Sydney on the other side of the country, her phone rings, and that's the cliffhanger to the next one. At least that's how I would have done it or whatever. But that obviously didn't happen.
Didn't you hear her? Not every movie needs an end credit scene.
Oh, I know. I'm just saying.
I love
This was
that.
prior.
That was funny.
This was prior to getting that from
really.
Indy, which I thought was I was telling Frank that is my new favorite post-credit scene. Screw Marvel, screw DC.
God damn it!
Scream 6 has the best post-credit scene ever
Like
nowadays.
5 seconds of being like, you don't need one. Bye. Like,
Yeah. Oh no, it was. Yeah.
Well, let's go ahead and talk about that post-credit scene for a minute.
it was like 3 seconds long. What's to talk about?
We've gotten so spoiled. We've gotten so spoiled by Marvel with these post-credit scenes that when they don't hit those high notes the way the movies tend to, we get kind of pissed off. And they've had a couple that were absolute bangers. They've had a couple that was kind of like, I don't know why you guys even bother shooting this. But at the same time, it kind of like the way that this franchise makes fun of not just horror tropes, but it kind of at times has made fun of just the filmmaking process as a whole, and it's worked a lot. Somebody who's kind of like watched how films get made, who's studied it a lot the last several years, I kind of like, okay, I get the reference, but I get why.
Let's not forget.
Let's not forget on a movie set for the whole movie.
Yeah, this is a franchise that had Jay and Silent Bob just hanging out in the background. Okay, they're willing to take shots. You know what I mean? So it is what it is.
I couldn't help it, because one of the things I do, and I don't know why I bother doing it for the movie. I don't know if Jeremy noticed me doing it or not. It's like as the movie's starting to wrap up, I'll go to my phone real quick and I'll look. Does this movie have a post-credit scene?
Yeah.
If it does, then I'll stick around and watch. If it says no, then I'll just bounce. And so I'm sitting there. It says yes, it has a post-credit scene, and I was like, I didn't look at it. I was like, okay, I'm gonna sit here and just watch and see what happens. And then you see her pop back up and say, not every movie has to have a post-credit scene, and it just cuts out. And I kind of was like, that's pretty fucking dope. I was like, you're messing with the movie fan saying not every. It kind of reminded me of when a little bit of when Captain America is just like his post-credit scene for the one where it was one of the Spider-Man movies, I think, where he's just like,
where he's sitting backwards in the chair or whatever.
It was kind of making fun of the post-credit scene phenomena as it is, which I thought was actually a lot of fun. But I don't know. Any random thoughts on the big post-credit scene?
I loved it. I loved it.
Pretty straightforward, yeah.
It was great that they were just kind of making fun of us as film fans.
Oh yeah,
it's just like not a movie.
They almost could have done the OG and done like the Ferris Bueller, where they look at you and be like, "Why are you still here? You don't need a post-credit scene."
Yeah, but Deadpool did that though. You can't read.
Well, but he's making fun of Ferris Bueller. That's the point. Like, Roxanne's like, "Why are you still here? Go home. Leave. The movie's over."
Well, look, that could have been interesting. That could have been a place where they could have laid some groundwork because they want to do 7. I know there's some contractual stuff, and there's some.
It's already been greenlit. It's filming this summer. It's already been greenlit.
Oh boy!
But that's where they could have laid some groundwork and said, they could have like rolled through the like. It would have been cool if you could have got a shot like the camera comes down from and shows the gallery of all that stuff from behind the row of gallons.
The robes and stuff.
Robes. And then just like it sits there for a second, out of nowhere, one of the robes just walks off camera, and that's where it stops.
That would have been cool. that would have been cool.
It had been like, or if the thing opens up, and you see like Stu's missing or something, you're like, oh wait, what's going on?
Yeah.
Or a scene like from V for Vendetta where everybody in a whole town opens a package and they all have one.
That would have been kind of cool.
Yeah.
Everybody gets sent.
That would have worked better in Woodsboro, though.
That's fair.
Well, yeah, I mean, as far as going into Scream 7, whether it's good or not, it's going to make money. And I mean, I was actually debating a friend of mine the other day about this. Obviously Halloween, the new ones, they rushed. Well, the first 2 came out boom, boom, and then lockdown prevented Halloween Ends from coming out for a couple of years. But with these Scream films, they're striking while the iron's hot, and I don't blame them for doing it. I think they're doing the right thing here. We're not going to have
we're going from getting no films at all for 2 years,
right?
To getting
they all come out this month,
right? I mean, yeah, it's not like, oh well, okay, we just saw the whatever your movie is. We'll see you in 2 years. That's not the way it is, and. Scream 6 is a hit. I don't know how much money it will end up making, but it's already a huge success. It's made $50+ million already. Who knows how much more it'll make? So I'm excited for 7. This post-credit scene for this one, though, it does seem like one of those things. Like they just told the actor who plays Mindy to just go say something. Just play Randy. Just play Mindy. Just say something, and we'll, kind of like it's the 4th or 5th take or something. And they posted it on as a post-credit.
That might have just been in that whole dialogue rant she went on. They
right.
cut that out and saved it for the end. I'm like, yeah, that probably was
right.
Yeah,
that's what I'm saying. It's they Scream 7. I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to any slash list on Secret, but I hope it's not the last one, because I've got a few film ideas. I won't give them all away right now, but I've got a few ideas where this franchise could go. The one I will give, I didn't come up with this idea, but they need to go New Nightmare with a Scream film. People want Stu back, right? Well, let's say they don't want to have Stu come back in movie world. Do the New Nightmare thing. You can bring back Courtney Cox, David Arquette. Everybody can come back. But there's real life Ghostface killing in the real world. It's like I said, this is not my idea. It's not even a new idea. I think it's a really cool idea. But
that would be kind of funny.
It would be. I mean, because
it works well.
Yeah.
Well, I think that works better in the Freddy universe because, coming out of a dream is a very weird thing. So the spiritual spiritual aspect of it in New Nightmare was different. It's just like just having because copycat killers are not a new thing. I mean, that's a legitimate phenomenon.
Oh, no.
It's probably just a joke and homage to Wes Craven. It's like, wouldn't it be funny?
Well, yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's the perfect homage to it.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you do, Wes had the idea to renovate Freddy by going, oh, well, now he's actually real, and here's Heather Langenkamp, and here's, everybody else that's in the film. Scream is perfect for this, because you can have Matthew Lillard sitting at a coffee shop or a pizza joint with Nif Campbell talking about Scream 1. Who wouldn't love to see that? You know what I mean? And I don't know. I think I wouldn't do it with 7 because I would finish the story off, but it's a movie I would make.
Instead of Stab, they're actually watching Scream.
Yeah. That would be beautifully meta, but the problem is meta's starting to get overdone.
I get it.
It's like Kevin Smith does it because it's all just a big joke to him anyway. He doesn't take it seriously.
Right.
It works. But it's like when other movies try to do it, they try to take it seriously. It's like look at the fucking Blair Witch sequel that came out a couple years after the original.
Jeez.
Like that movie was horrible. They tried to play a bit of a meta.
Blair Witch 2, the Book of Shadows. I actually like Book of Shadows.
I didn't like any part of that movie.
There's no shadows in the book.
It's a great movie.
Who's got the map?
Blair Witch 1, I like it, but it's one of those I have to watch it and then go 5 years without watching it. Because if you watch it too soon, it doesn't hit as well. I liked Blair Witch 2. Now it's kind of a cult film, but I enjoy it. That's my kind of movie.
It's one of those films where you can't watch it again for the first time. It's like kind of every movie's like that. It's like the first time you see it, it's always great, and you watch it again.
It's the same problem I had with Friday the 13th.
It doesn't quite hit the same.
It's like like Paranormal Activity. It's like Final Destination. It's like you can't really get that experience again. Or Cloverfield even. Like you can't even
once
really
you know the punchline of a joke or know the ending of a movie, there's no mystery in waiting to see what happens.
No.
I mean, you might want to relive the emotion of the plot, but you know what happens.
Yeah.
The only one of those that I disagree with is Paranormal Activity. I know exactly what's going to happen in the movie, but at least for the first 3, maybe even 4, because I love all of them, but the first 4 are fantastic.
I guess.
If you watch the first 2, especially by yourself, 3 o'clock in the morning, you're going to be scared. I don't care if you've seen it 1,000 times. That one has the rewatchability. But films like the original Friday the 13th, anything that's a murder whodunit mystery is never the same the first time you've seen it.
Well,
and it is what it is.
I'd say, Tex, we're psychopaths. We'll watch a movie at 3 a.m. and then go to sleep just
100%. 100%. Yeah.
We're not like normal people here. We're something different.
I'm the guy that's like, oh.
I did see they did the first Terrifier on Peacock. And I was like, ooh.
Oh, did they?
Yeah, they put the first
Terrifier, that was on Tubi for a while. Because I own the movie, but it's been on a few different streaming services. But that's another franchise that's I think's got some legs to it. But hey, I'm the kind of horror fan like if you gave me like Sleepaway Camp 3 or like some kind of elevated horror movie, I'm taking Sleepaway Camp 3 because I'm just here for the slash and the gore and the fun. So it is what it is. So. Like a terrifier.
Yeah, that's our breakdown of Scream 6. Boy, again, one of my favorite of the franchise. Again, I haven't been a big fan of the franchise overall, but the last couple have been pretty good. They've been on par with the first one. I actually think this one was probably maybe a little bit better. I don't know. I'll have to think on it a little bit more. I gotta let my thoughts marinate on this a little bit. But yeah, definitely a very enjoyable movie. One of the
instead of marinade, you mean you gotta let it stew?
We don't know. We never know.
It might just be a Scream to watch.
That joke's no Sharon Stone. You know what I'm saying?
That joke's no Sharon Stone. I got that when I was looking for a picture of Matthew Illard. I got the picture I ended up getting because I like the question marks around it because of what it was about. But I did end up finding the picture of him. What I do with it there, right there, the picture of him doing that thing. Let's be honest. You're no Sharon Stone. Come on, Patrick. There we go. One of my favorite shots in the entire movie. You're no Sharon Stone.
That's great.
Although, I mean, to be fair, I know we want to believe it, but those TVs back in the 90s probably could have like killed a small child or a small animal.
Hey,
they did kill small children.
If you can get stabbed in the heart and lungs and live, a TV to the face is nothing. You don't even need a Band-Aid. You just walk away.
Those things are head.
We saw somebody else in a Wes Craven movie to get her head stuck through a TV, and I mean, she did die.
Welcome to prime time, bitch.
That's always my favorite Freddy kill. Prime time, bitch.
Oh no, that's not even the best one in Dream Warriors. But hey, that's a debate for another day.
Thank you to everybody who voted in the poll. I very much appreciate it. 7 of you voted, and 71% of you liked Scream 6. That's not a bad percentage. 29% of you did not. That must be one of Casey's troll accounts that logged botted his way in here.
Casey got scared.
Just to screw up the whole thing. Yeah, Casey doesn't watch scary movies.
He's wrecked the curve. He's that good.
But thank you to my amazing co-host for coming in and hanging out with me tonight. Starting with the Dower Chicago's Lady Cora. Where can the folks at home find you, ma'am?
Nowhere. I'm allergic to the internet except for coming here.
That's fair.
Fair enough. Most people aren't anymore. And to our good friend Tim Septim, what do you got going on in the future?
Well, today the newest Sims pack just came out. It's a real game changer, which is a joke because the Sims testers are called game changers. Anyways, so that just came out, and I'm hoping to get another monitor so that I can actually stream, because right now I can't like half window and mess around with all that. So hopefully it'll be soon. I'll be either on YouTube or Twitch. I'm Tin Septum on both. I don't have to put any numbers behind my name because it's the only one. So yeah, that'll be soon. You can follow me on Twitter for updates.
There we go.
Her link to her YouTube channel is down with the rest of the gamers down below with the rows with the real gaming with Casey and Brooding Gamer. So she is in the description of all the videos from now on. To my hetero life mate, Jeremy, what do you got going on, my friend?
Well, since I haven't seen her come out of that room for the past like 2 or 3 days, because of that, yeah, I'm doing the same. I'm always here right now on Thursday, and we don't have as much Pedro Pascal anymore, but we still have him in the form of the Mandalorian. So there's always that. Although I think we do want to do a maybe like a series or review of Last of Us and talk about some of the differences between the game and the show, which I am more than happy to oblige, because believe me, I could tell you all about it. So there's probably that coming up. And then again, like I said, Mandalorian. So that's over here on this channel. And I'm also on my own stuff. And you know what? there's a number behind my name because it's important to me, and also I made that name back in like 2007, so I can't like back out now. It's a commitment. So I'm sorry.
To it. I
am well committed to this name. Like I said, I've had it since I was like 14, so I can't just change it now until I get like doxxed or some dumb shit happens, and then I have to change my name anyway. So whatever. I don't know. You'll know about it. Don't worry.
His name's Jeremy Smith, and he lives at 123 Anytown Road. Go get him, guys.
Ah, damn.
Everybody go get him.
I actually have a friend who bought a house in a tiny town in the middle of nowhere, and her address is 123 Main Street. And she told me her address. I'm like, come on, stop fucking around. Give me your address.
Right.
She goes, no, really.
And she wasn't friends with you anymore because you insulted
of her fucking address and the street sign. I didn't believe her.
That's amazing. So anyways,
it can happen.
Well, I mean, every town has an Elm Street too, so yeah. So anyway, I'm on that's my name right there. I'm on Twitter. I don't really do anything with that. Also on Twitch and YouTube, which there is absolutely nothing on it, but that's okay because, like I said, now that the Last of Us show has ended, now I can go back and play the first game. If you've never experienced the game, if you've seen the show, or hell, if you have seen it, you can come watch me be terrible at the game. Which I don't know. I'm not really terrible. I guess I have played it like 7 times, but sometimes
as long as you promise to kill the nurses, like you said Tuesday.
I'm sorry, I did. Joel's a lot nicer than me. I straight up killed everybody in that room. So sorry. I feel like maybe it was the joke that was the Abby character. I'm like, that's why you left her alive, right? But anyway, I'm a pretty brutal Joel as well. But hey, sometimes those clickers and those guys just come out of nowhere, and they do catch me off guard. So yeah, I'll be doing Last of Us, and I hate Frank for doing this to me, but I did re-download Fortnite, so that's a thing. I don't know what I'm doing with myself. Hey, he said I can.
That's why I told Casey to stream the other night. I was like, I convinced Jeremy to go back to Fortnite just enough so that we can both tag team and just murky whenever we're in a map. But the game itself, I'm not going to bother asking you to play it because it's whatever. But like the creative mode is fun if you could do like different games and stuff like that. But yeah,
I opened that tab and I was like, why is there like 30,000 things? This is like Roblox now. What the fuck happened? Oh my god. I don't. I'm like, can I just play a game? I saw like an old man. Like, can I just play the game? Where's that at? I don't know. I'll have to look more into it. I still have all my old stuff, which is really nice. I bought like one new character. She's like $3, but I might be doing that. And you know what? Maybe I can. Actually, can I say that on YouTube? That I just wanted to shoot Casey in the face, and now I can. I don't know. Come 1v1 me.
In Fortnite, of course. In Fortnite, of course.
In a video game.
Yeah. In a video game. Yeah.
Don't take us down, YouTube. It's a video game. Chill.
Well, we got to get Casey. We got to get Casey to man up and actually get on the game. I've challenged him 3 or 4 times. He's like, "Oh, I can. I gotta go."
Oh yeah, that's okay. Right.
I gotta go get.
He's sleepy, Frank. He's sleepy. Come on.
He's got to go. He's got to go sweep the pool. Yeah.
No, he's always in the bathtub. He falls asleep there playing Fortnite on his little game thing.
Well.
What a sicko. Anyway, and to our good friend, the Shape for the Lone Star State, my man Tex. What do you got going on, my friend?
Nothing but here on Thursdays because I work every other night of the week. So you won't see me anywhere else. So that's about it.
As for me, you can find me here. Let's see. Like I said, Jeremy said we're going to be back on Tuesday, probably doing kind of like an end of the season recap of The Last of Us, some of our favorite moments, some surprises, some not any disappointments we might have had, not a whole lot. Jeremy's also going to break down, since he is the resident gamer of the channel, he's going to go down and break down a lot of the differences between the game and the series, and more importantly, some of the things that were very similar, because they did hold true to a lot of the game. There was a lot of scenes, very important scenes, that were dialogue spot on, shots shot right on. They were fantastic. But Jeremy is going to break down some of the differences and similarities. So we'll break that down in more depth on Tuesday. And then Thursday, probably back to your regular show. We're gonna have 2 shows. We're gonna have 2 episodes of The Mandalorian to deal with by then. And there's plenty of news that's dropped over the course of the last 3 or 4 days that deserves some discussion. So there's definitely going to be some content coming from us in the next week or so. And you will find me there as well. So come hang out with us. Very much appreciate it. Don't forget to go check us out on Rumble. I want to try to build up our are based on Rumble, so that I can live stream over there as well. There is not a very big film community over on Rumble. It's mostly politics, but there are a few, and I'd like to get on the ground floor of that one. So
if you're road, let's go.
Yeah, so if you're not one of the people,
Screw you, YouTube. We're out of here.
Give me 25 subscribers on Rumble so that I can start going live. So that way, I can start going
Rumble
live
would let me tell me I could shoot Casey in the face.
See, Rumble's totally cool like that.
So hang on, wait. If this show's on Rumble, I don't have to censor myself anymore. Yay, Rumble! Let's go over there.
Well, you'll be on YouTube as well. We'll be multi-platform.
Oh,
so
okay.
We still have to make sure YouTube's not getting pissed. But if we were live on Rumble alone, we'd probably have more.
There you go.
But mostly, I just want to grow the channel and get us in front of some more eyeballs so they can see just how awesome you guys are. But that's all for now. Much as I start the outro music. Thank you guys for coming around. We very much appreciate it. We'll see you guys next time. Adios.
See y'all later.